Hey guys, welcome back to the IPSL semi-finals match between Bonyth and Hawk. Joining me once again in the caster booth, none other than Ozzy Dahaki. How you doing today, buddy?
Doing good today, Jean. Today we got Hawk and Bonyth. How do you feel about this matchup, Jean?
Well, historically speaking, it's
Yeah.
probably about 80% win rate for Bonyth, but I think this is the first ever best of 7 they've played, so it could be interesting.
Okay. And Hawk, he hasn't been like super active, right?
Right.
I think he's actually stepped away a little bit. So I expect we're gonna see Hawk try to at least make things weird to try and hang out, like hang in the game a little bit because he knows he's gonna be outmatched, especially out of practice against someone as good as Bonyth. So I expect to see some weirdness out of him today.
Well, we've already got a little bit of weirdness in the way of the map pool. Both Generator and
Yeah.
Andromeda are going to be played, both picked by Hawk in this series, games 2 and 4, I think, respectively. Going to be an interesting one. These are maps that are not being played a lot. Maybe Hawk's got some, unique strategies prepared in mind for Bonyth, specifically going into the series.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking, that he's probably more than happy to get on these kind of unique maps. And Hawk can be very creative. He definitely has a different approach and different outlook on the game in general. So yeah, I expect we're gonna see something. He's got something planned. Whether or not he's gonna be able to execute it super well, we'll see. But yeah, I'm actually a little bit excited for the series for that reason.
Yeah, it should be a fun one. And if the predictions do go through and the favorite Bonyth wins and joins us in the finals, that means we're going to have plenty of PVZ to look forward
Yeah.
to. Him against Rhett, and then also that third place match will have Hawk versus Dragon in that eventuality. So I'm really happy about that we get to maybe avoid a lot of mirror matchups here in the conclusion to the tournament.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad we're kind of going to be avoiding mirrors most likely if Bonnet does get that win. And PVZ to me has always been a pretty interesting matchup. So yeah, I'm not going to complain if that's what we end up with for the entire tournament from here on out.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. Like PVZ, probably one of my most favorite matchups to cast. I do really like TVZ as well, but I
Hmm.
would say PVZ is a very close second to that. Going to be hard though for Hawk. I mean, like you were saying, he's not been playing nearly as much as of late, and Bonyth's an absolute force to be reckoned with. Really am stoked to see how Bonyth lines up against Rhett, because they kind of have opposite styles, right? Like Rhett's a complete macro god
Yeah.
and Bonyth's a complete micro god. I don't know how that's going to shape up in the best of 7.
Yeah, especially since Bonnet was saying, or sorry, Red was saying that he hasn't even seen uh much gameplay out of Bonnet before.
Yeah,
Oh,
well,
we're in the games. My bad.
yeah, no, that's not your fault that Arm didn't have the StarCraft stream up yet. We've only just got that now. Yeah, let's jump into this game, Ozzy. Who we got here in the bottom right?
All right, spawning here in the bottom right corner. You all know him from Poland. We have Bonyth, a mini-time BSL champion. I think it's like 7 or something.
Yeah, something like that. And down here, in the bottom right, representing America at the bottom left, excuse me, it's Hawk.
All right. All right, all right. Well, starting off with Octagon here, so nothing super crazy yet, but as you mentioned, we are going to be looking at that Andromeda and was it Generator? Is that the other kind of weird
Yeah,
map with the
Generator, yeah.
So
Very
we might
strange
get
map.
some weird stuff today, which is always fun and exciting.
Yeah, it's, Generator's kind of like a hodgepodge, like a Frankenstein's monster of like circuit breakers, 76, and a little bit of attitude as well in terms of the overall map geometry. It's a super strange map, but does favor macro games. Really hard to choose on that map.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be more about maybe what kind of optimization we get for the macro side of things on that map. And
Yeah.
again, Hawk, even though he's not been super active, he's a theory crafter, if nothing else.
Yeah.
He'll come up with some stuff, and we're actually gonna get a gateway opening from Bonyth. And I say actually, sorry, this is Bonyth, not DeWalt. Yeah, we're gonna see a lot of gateway opener from
Yeah,
Bonyth.
you will. Yeah, he like. I mean, as a micro user, you kind of are more inclined to open up Gateway Expand. Let's be totally real about it. And yeah, DeWalt is a macro guy, so he's going to be usually opening up with that Forge, and nothing too crazy here. from Hawk's side of things, it looks like so far. He's just going to go overpull into an expansion. But he does get the first scout with the Overlord, so he has total awareness that this is going to be a little bit of Zealot pressure early on.
Yeah. I wonder if we're going to see much 12 hatch out of Hawk, because typically 12 hatch, like if you know your opponent's going gate expand, 12 hatch actually can feel pretty good, or like 11 hatch rather.
Yeah, well, you could even go 9 hatch, right? Like 9 hatch is
Yeah.
pretty damn good against gateway expand. I think we would actually might like be seeing 9 hatch on generator. I think 9 hatch is way more optimal because of the fastest patches. So
yeah, we did actually open 6 lings here from Hawk, so I guess he's going to be using the defensive, so it's a little bit... Usually you see the 4 kind of at the start, like the 4 in the drone, and then you can add the extra wings after when you're playing against gate expand. But he went in and went straight to 6, so just being a little bit extra safe. Maybe kind of scared of the probe zealot combination potentially of Bonyth, because kind of like we've been talking about, Bonyth's control is pretty insane, and that dude can squeeze out value that you didn't know could be squeezed out of things.
Yeah, but I mean, he's still going to move out now with 3 Zealots, despite not coming across the map straight away, which is going to force a ton of lings. I mean, you kind of have to go all the way up to 12 lings at this point in the game, so he's going to be really hurting on the economy side of things, but such is the strength of opening up Gateway Expand for the Protoss.
Yeah, it's part of that balance, right? It's you end up cutting a lot of drones to potentially clean this up, but if you clean it up easily, then you can drone for a while, but that's always kind of the big if, right? Like, if you clean it up easily, then you're in good shape, but Bonyth getting straight into the main here, going to get behind the mineral line and start even chipping away at this pool. So he's going to have a little bit of a kind of a choke point to fight in, which is exactly what he wants with these Zealots to get maximum value.
Pretty good surround with the Lings. Going to deny at least the Zealots getting to this hidey hole behind the mineral patches for free. Does kill 2 of them pretty cost efficiently. I've got to say, RZ, this is not looking too bad for Hawk at all so far.
Yeah, this is a great start for Hawk, and because he cleaned this up so efficiently, now he can just drop a bunch of larvae, or a bunch of drones. So he's going to be able to catch back up in eco now, and there's not going to be much threat of a Zealot follow-up because you get this cleanup, you have some lings left over. Like, he can replace a couple lings if he wants, but he's got the Overlord here spotting that Zealots were cut after those 3 Zealots, so he's just going to drone really, really comfortable now.
Yeah, this is looking pretty fantastic for Hawk. He made like the bare minimal amount of lings, cleaned it up nicely, and like you say, has good intel on what Bonyth is up to back at home. Going to be droning super hard. He's even cut drones off gas, so he's just going to get that ling speed upgrade and just double dip into drones and hatcheries and get a really powerful layerless economy going.
Yeah, I like that call. It is kind of hard sometimes to get into a proper layer timing against gate openers because you're being pressured. A lot of the time there is a little bit of balance because your layer gets delayed, but also their Stargate gets delayed. So if you want to go for it, obviously you can. But yeah, a lot of times you'll see a Hydra follow up into this opening.
Yeah, Hawk will eventually start going back into mining gas in just a moment here and just defend with a few Hydras against the Seer coming across the map in a few moments. But as long as he can just stop losing much mining time and doesn't let a drone get picked off by these 2 Zealots in the main, Hawk's going to be feeling pretty damn good about his position.
Yeah, he got caught off guard a little bit by these 2 Zealots showing up, and that big pull to the bottom of his mineral patch actually going to hurt his mining quite a bit. But yeah, this kind of snuck around. It's funny, what happened was Hawk moved his Overlord away, and then Bonyth immediately sent out the 2 Zealots, right?
Yeah.
A little bit of a mind game there going on.
That was quite smart from Bonyth to read into that and get a potential punish here. And I would say these Zealots have done their job. I mean, even if they're not killing drones, just like forcing the pull away, there's a lot of lost mining time at this junction in the game. It's going to be a spore. Yeah, I actually kind of like this from Hawk. It's not a bad choice.
So he's going to go Spore, stack his Overlords, and instead of dropping a Hydra, he's just going to drone like a madman. That's the game plan right now. Just maximum eco ASAP. This is kind of a cool play, actually, from Hawk.
Yeah. And he can go straight into 6-hatch Hydra off the back of this as well. He's going to have a very powerful mid-game unless Bonyth can put something together. I guess, like, theoretically, we could have a fast... well, relatively fast DT from Bonyth and try and get that over to the 3rd base, which doesn't have a Spore. That's possible.
Yeah, I was gonna say that seemed to be the only weakness that I was really identifying was if a DT did show up. Even if it just showed up in the natural, like there's not really many lings or anything either. It potentially could just walk into the main. But yeah, DTs definitely could have been a problem.
But I think the Templar Archives has been ever so slightly delayed here. I think it's only just now about to go down. So I don't think there's any threat of that happening early enough. Yeah, I think Hawk will be fine.
Yeah, actually, I don't even think he's started the Archives at all yet, right? Doesn't look like it.
I don't see it. Yeah, I don't see it.
Interesting. So this is going to be very, very late storm coming out of Bonyth. And the gateway counts, what is it, 3? Or does he have an extra one in the natural as well?
I think it's 3.
Yeah, just 3. Okay.
I was just going to say, like, one of the biggest weaknesses about Bonyth is, like, his optimizations and his macro always slip in. You know, like, you'll see a few idle probes here and there and buildings not being placed down at the optimal time, and he really leans on his unit control to kind of carry him, but he also understands the fundamentals of the game. Like, as long as you're making the probes and not wasting those production cycles, that's more important than just sending them to mine, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. That being said, you would expect when there's nothing happening, he could at least get them to get mining, but it's just funny, right? Because there's like clear holes that you can see in Bonyth's gameplay, even, which is funny to say because Bonyth is literally like top 1, top 2 non-Korean StarCraft players. Like, the dude's an absolute legend, and he really just kind of shows you the power of getting value out of what you're doing. And Hawk has actually said it before many times, where people like ask for advice on like build orders and stuff like that, and then Hawk's response will be just fight better. And Bonyth really embodies that.
Yeah, Loki's going to try and come in here with a massive squad of Zealots to buy time for these Corsairs to maybe wreak havoc on the Overlords. But with the Spore there, he's actually not going to get a lot out of this trade. And I would also say that, like, a telltale sign of an S-rank player is the ability to trade well and not bleed units, right? Like, when you're climbing through B and A rank, you're mainly worrying about having good build orders, and when you get into A, you're, like, trying to optimize the shit out of them. But when you're hitting S rank, like, it usually comes down to if you're able to not bleed and trade as efficiently as you can.
Yeah, this has been going great for Hawk so far, too. That was a fair amount of Zealot kills. One of the Corsairs even died to this the Spore, and he's just pumping a lot of army right now. There is one DT out on the map at the moment here, but that army is not super scary looking. The Templar count should be building, I assume, behind this just a little bit, but there is some map control gonna go over to Hawk here for, I feel like, a little while.
Yeah, I mean, the build order's been great, everything's pretty damn optimized, and because Bonyth is not like a solid macro player, he's kind of lagging behind the curve of the game in terms of like his tech tree and when these Templars are actually out, and hasn't really been successful at leaning on Hawk and hiccuping the Zerg's progression. So it does look like Hawk's going to have a very dominating mid game.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what his follow-up is going to be from here. But yeah, he's gotten to a very, very strong position. Like you pointed out, his eco's in pretty good shape. We see a little bit of a dance happening out here. We don't have Overlord speed yet. I'm going to go ahead and call that a little bit late at this point. So this is kind of delaying him getting out on the map where he wants to be.
Well, to be fair, like, because you're going lairless, like, your lair is super late, and sometimes you're optimizing your upgrades before getting the Overlord speed, so it isn't too uncommon to see that kick in by, like, 11 minutes or later when you're doing this kind of style.
Yeah, wanted to get into this 4th base here. Just slow rolling an Overlord down here. Is going to be able to drop that hatchery in time and pick off the DT. So another nice catch there for Hawk.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much everything is going his way. And as long as he doesn't just get like stormed into oblivion once Bonyth decides to move out, he can easily make a round of drones to saturate this 4th base without really any issues at all. But it does look like there is going to be some pressure here from Bonyth in the way of a DT drop into the main, but Hawk is ready for that. A little hit squad of 4 Hydras with the Overlord in support. Going to be able to deny this.
Wow. Yeah, losing only a single drone, and nice setup from Hawk. I mean, he knew this was a possibility and a threat, and he's there for it. Shuttle is going to get corralled here towards the natural, potentially going to get picked off here, and yeah, down it goes. And I mean, honestly, everything is going right for Hawk. I'm seeing no issues whatsoever so far.
Yeah, he's actually eclipsing Bonyth in supply as well. It's quite crazy. He's got a massive round of lurkers just popping as well. All things are aligning for a Hawk victory in this game, but it's always possible you can still throw from these positions, right? If all the units are clumped up and you eat a bunch of really good storms, it can be easy for the Protoss player to flip the script on you. The biggest win percentage for Protoss in this matchup is in that mid game, of course.
Yeah, there is always that possibility, right? The giant storms, that mid game death ball, right? It's called a
Mm,
death ball for a reason, and
yeah.
poor ignorant Hawk, his lurker is not quite in the right spot. He does not listen to my rants about the ramp here, but that's okay.
I mean, honestly, like Zerg units are overpowered, but they do require very good control. Like you've got more control groups to worry with, and like pincering the Protoss at the right time and getting all your units spread and engaging in a synchronized fashion is not easy to achieve. But if you can achieve it, you can gobble up these death balls very efficiently. And Hawk is
Yeah.
wrapping around and setting up for that
Oh
now.
man. Yeah, massive surround here. Almost a one, or sorry, almost a 360 here from Hawk. Getting a full surround. The lurkers coming in on top of this army, burrowing down, and this army is going to get swallowed. Pretty good storms on the right side, but it's just there's so many units coming from every direction. And honestly, that's insane that Bonyth even gets out of here. Like, he
Yeah.
traded so much better than I thought he was going to. The setup from Hawk was like
Completely
perfect.
agree. I completely agree. This was a really good setup from Hawk, but Bonyth still finds a way of trading just barely efficiently enough to actually be slightly ahead on supply now. But can he weather the storm? Because now you're going to have a Sauron Zerg style Hawk trying to get on top of this third base location and stop Bonyth from keeping the legs under him sturdy, and going to be trying to prevent Bonyth from getting cannons online. He's going to be morphing lurkers at the front, just hammering on the gates non-stop to try and break Bonyth right here and now.
Yeah, Hawk just kind of keeping the pressure up. We got a full rally of Hydras coming across the map constantly. Some lurkers still left over, and if he breaks this base, then he is pretty much in a game-winning position. Gonna get a snipe on that High Templar. There's one more left. A rally of Zealots joining up here, and it looks like Bonyth is just barely gonna hold on to this base. We see no more reinforcements coming across until just now moving, and man, this is a tight defense here from Bonyth.
Yeah, about as tight as it gets. Like if his macro was even slipping just slightly more than this, I think he would be dead. But he's hanging on by a thread. Hawk not slowing down though. Got that fourth base saturated. He's all hands on deck, trying to overwhelm the Protoss still, who's trickling out high tempers. Gets one sniped.
Oh, man.
Less and less splash damage available to our Polish Protoss player as Hawk sets himself up to try and eliminate this base. This High Templar at the Nexus does not have enough energy to storm. Observers have been getting picked off as well, so these lurkers going to be harder and harder to deal with them. Finally starting to target fire down these photon cannons, and it does look like Bonyth is going to be overwhelmed at this rate, Arzi.
Yeah, a few zealots kind of trinkling out near here now for defense, but not going to be enough. GG going to be called in. Hawk, I'm going to go ahead and say it, surprisingly taking game one here over Bonyth with what I feel like was a perfectly executed game from Hawk. Like,
Yeah.
there's very few mistakes that I could spot outside of going through the replay and trying to nitpick. That was cool from Hawk.
It seemed pretty flawless, yeah. Obviously, we're not seeing every beat of the game from watching from Arn's perspective, but that did seem about damn close near as perfect as you can get. And yeah, maybe a little bit worrying for Bonyth giving away a lot of tempo in this series right off the bat. And Hawk seems a lot more prepared than we anticipated.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's been practicing. I've been out of the loop a little bit with the group over there, so but I don't think he's been on doing much, but regardless, he is an intelligent player. We've talked about him many times, a very cerebral player.
Mm,
Even if he hasn't been playing or practicing, he at least mapped that out pretty well because the build that he went for was pretty cool. He got that good defense in the beginning, and the call to go Spore, no Hydra, and just mass drone worked out
yeah.
really, really well.
I think it's really good against Bonyth's style in particular, right? And especially after you know you've killed those initial zealots, you know there's not really any pressure onto you. I think it's a very cerebrally clever thing to go for. I mean,
Mhm.
Hawk was a little bit guarded in his interview about going forward in this tournament. Like he kind of hinted that maybe he would be putting in a bit of extra practice in facing off against Bonyth here today, and it certainly seems like he has been doing his homework.
Yeah. Yeah, that didn't look like someone that hasn't been playing or practicing or preparing.
Right.
I'll say that. So I
Yeah,
might have the wrong impression here to start.
I mean, maybe he's on some Smurf accounts, grinding the ladder, got a few practice partners in the back pocket, and he's been plugging away, and we just don't know about it. But he seemed way sharper than the previous games we've seen from him in the
Yeah,
tournament.
100% agree.
Well, guys, we're going to go into a little bit of a commercial break here just to make sure you guys don't get any ads during the games themselves. So run to the bathroom, grab some water, grab some fruit, whatever you got to do, and come and join us for game number 2 between Hawk and Bonyth. Don't go anywhere. Hey guys, welcome back to the IPSL semi-finals match between Bonyth and Hawk. We've got a real treat for you coming up now. We're playing on Andromeda, super old school map. It's absolutely huge. It's got a couple of islands as well. Could see some very spicy builds out of both of these guys.
Yeah, yeah. This map's been out for a little while, out of the map pool. I mean, and uh, it's always interesting to see like when you get these kind of like awkward maps or like different maps, unique maps, whatever you want to call them. If
Mm,
there's much prep going into it, or if it's completely winging it, because usually when you have maps like this in the map pool, because people are so adverse to like playing it, you don't practice on it, right?
yeah.
Very rarely, until you more or less have to play on it. And yeah, a lot of people just go into it and wing it. They'll A lot of times you see people just try to play super normal games, but every now and then you'll get those people that like actually prep for the weird maps. And
Right.
I expect Hawk to be one of those guys that prepped for it.
Yeah, same. Although there's going to be a lot of wiggle room for Bonyth as well. Like Riva Ser could be really strong on this map with the islands in particular. Who knows? We could even be seeing mass air battles into carrier. Bonyth loves carrier play.
Yeah.
But one thing has to be said is that this is a pretty Zerg favored map, historically speaking. Just one choke point to defend off 3 bases if you do take that mineral only in your main base. But looks like both players already, guys, jumping right into it. Hawk versus Bonyth. Game number 2, Andromeda.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, spawning here in the top right corner, currently up 1-0. We have our red Zerg representing North America, USA, Hawk.
And down here in the bottom left, slightly slumped in his chair, a real cool, calm, for fun gamer representing Poland, the green Protoss, Bonyth.
Whenever you play, are you able to slump back and play StarCraft? I find it to be borderline impossible.
I can, but I don't like to, if you know what I mean. I feel like you need to be more engaged with it.
Yeah.
I was playing some 1v1s on like 2.5 times game speed, and it's not something you can play slumped back, Ozzy.
No, definitely not. I have a friend that I play BGH with sometimes, and if I'm having a day where I'm not playing well, she'll just ask me straight up. She's like, "Are you sitting up right now?" Because she knows that like if I'm slumped back, my gameplay literally gets cut in half. Like I just cannot perform.
Yeah, I mean, I have to like inflate my lumbar support and like get my seat a little bit
Yeah,
upright. I guess I'm slightly leaned back, but not so much that I'm feeling like lethargic while I'm playing. You know.
it's interesting actually. Now that you got me thinking about it, or I guess now that we're thinking about it, I feel like I've learned good posture while gaming because of StarCraft, because it is so intensive and you have to like focus and pay attention. I feel like I have good gaming posture because this is the game that I grew up on.
I believe it, man. I definitely believe it. Well, talking about this game, we do have that hatchery first from Hawk. I was expecting it on a map like Andromeda. Let's be honest, it's such a huge map and very hard for the Protoss to punish something like a hatchery first. And it actually does work out really well against the Gateway expand, unless
Yeah.
they somehow get in and do a lot of damage with the Zealot. But with it being cross map and on a huge map like Andromeda, this should work out a lot better for Hawk than Bonyth.
Yeah. Yeah, anyway, with the more Eco 12 hatch, right? As well. So, yeah,
Well,
this is going to be. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say the timings on a smaller map would be like the Zealots in your base as the Lings are about to pop. But on an Andromeda cross map, like the Link should still pop just in time to stop this Zealot doing any economic damage.
Yeah. Yeah, so this will be a pretty favorable opening from Hawk. Really, the only thing I feel like Bonneth could have done in this, like these specific spawns in this situation to like have an advantage would be to go 12 Nexus, and nobody wants to risk that in PvZ typically.
Yeah, I mean, you'll see some ballsy guys pull it off. I wouldn't hate Bonyth to go for it, but I don't think it's really in his wheelhouse to do that
Yeah.
in PvZ anyway. Okay, Zealot running into the main now. We should see these Zerglings pop just before he can actually kill a drone with the Zealot probe combo.
Yeah, looks like we're gonna have to do at least a little bit of a pull. One link comes out on the wrong side and does take a free hit, and Bonneth is really good at getting this kind of free damage here, and it's actually even a couple probe hits as well. Like these little hits are gonna add up to make it where these links cannot engage, and he's gonna have to wait for those extra links. Zealot going to go behind the mineral line. We're going to see that probe try to drill potentially into that little pocket. Exactly. Yeah, and he wants to get in there, and this is going to force just a really good trade. It makes it where a Zealot essentially 2 shots a Ling instead of 3 shots because the probe is adding that DPS.
I think if you position the probe correctly, you can actually also hit the drones with that probe over the mineral line. Yeah, but nicely done by Hawk, hitting from both sides. Going to clean this up pretty cost efficiently, and yeah, unfortunately, I would say this is going to be a slight lead now for Hawk as we progress.
Yeah, and he can actually... I mean, he doesn't have vision right now. He doesn't know how many Zealots were made. Oh, we went for a very fast layer. Like, incredibly fast layer as Hawk.
So this, I mean, this theoretically could be like, you could do a 2-hatch Lurker bust off of this to try and kill the Protoss right away, but it might more likely be a 2-hatch Muta build. We'll see. Yeah, it is.
All right, so going to be putting on some Muta pressure here pretty early, and Bonyth is going to have to rely on cannons because the Sayer not going to really be out in time, and part of what's hard to play against this too as Protoss is you're essentially not going to be getting scouting information for a very, very long time now, because you can't comfortably send your first Sayer. You also don't want to be walking Zealots across the map anymore. Like, it's really hard to get info now.
Yeah, especially cross map. Like, theoretically, if you send this first Corsair right into the main base of the Zerg, your mutas should pop out on top of the Corsair so you can chase my turret home, right? Like, it's not good for Protoss at all.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the mutas will even be out before the Sayer can get to the base even. So yeah, it's going to be a tough info battle here for Bonyth. So we'll see how he wants to approach here without being able to get that information. And I'm curious.
This is one of the strengths of 2-hatch Muta, especially if you're against a Protoss that doesn't know his stuff. Like, he'll fly into your base with the Corsair, and you just get a free kill right off the bat.
I'm actually pretty happy to see how Bonyth will navigate this, because I mean, I don't play Protoss anymore, but when I did play these openings, I always found very difficult to play against, because it's like, do I keep prepping for a bunch of Muta? Is he doing a Hydra swap behind this? Is it gonna be that Lurker Ling bust from the front? Like, you kind of have to know, because you can't prep for everything.
One of the strongest ways you can play this 2-hatch Muta out as Zerg is to kind of threaten the idea of the Mutalisks, but you only make like 5. Or maybe even like 4 with 1 pair of Scourge, and then behind that you're going like 4 or 5 mass Hydra. And they just can't afford to like build all the cannons in their mineral lines and at the front to stop you from just busting them.
Look at what Bonyth did. He didn't make a single cannon in the mineral line. That's so like unbelievably ballsy to me. And the first Sayer is gonna get popped. Man, but look, he didn't make cannons. If he had actually just saved Muta and gone Muta, he would have died.
Yeah.
That's crazy. But I don't know. I guess that's part of what you have to do sometimes. You gotta have to predict a little bit, because like I said, you can't prep for everything. You can't. If you try to prepare for everything, you'll die to anything. That's the problem.
Pretty much. Yeah, if you try and go too mid-range, you kind of need to do gamble a little bit when you're in the dark as Protoss. It is true.
So yeah, it was basically 2-hatch Spire into 1 pair of Scourge, or a few pair of Scourge, and then just drones.
Okay, so Muta's popping out now. Only 1 Sunken here to see what Bonyth can get done with this. And theoretically, he's going to kill this Sunken at least, but I don't know if he's going to end up killing a lot of drones as long as Hawk's on top of his control and does start to pull those drones back. But only 1 Mutalisk, hasn't got a lot of DPS, RZ. I think like DPS of about 11 when you include the bounces. They only really are a strong threat when you've got a massive stack of them. So maybe you can get in here into the main and get some drone snipes.
Yeah, I wasn't paying attention. I don't know if this was a supply block or there was some sort of mismanagement somewhere from Hawk. And he's actually going to take a decent bit of damage here to these Zealots. I think he lost like 4-ish drones, but going to make a lot of Lings as well. Which, again, these Lings pop pretty late. So he must have been supply blocked. I wasn't looking, because this unit pop is pretty late.
It does seem like that. Yeah, I wasn't paying enough attention. He holds it reasonably well. I would still say this is a slight advantaged Hawk, but Bonyth is slightly even the scare with that pressure, maybe.
Okay, so we're going double Stargate here and going to make a ton of Corsair, but
that could be a mistake, honestly.
It could be a mistake, yeah. If Hawk starts pumping a ton of Hydra from here, then Yeah, it could be pretty brutal for Bonyth. I mean, one of the worst things that can happen is you're going to Stargate there and they're doing like a 5-hatch Hydra pressure, and you just don't have
Yeah.
enough to survive. Like, that's kind of an auto death, but
Well, that's what you're kind of trying to do when you go 2-hatch Muta into Hydra. You're trying to force them to think, I need to go double Stargate. That's kind of
yeah.
what the Zerg wants you to do. So he might be playing into Hawk's hands with this.
Yeah, potentially. So many lings. That's a lot of lings.
It is. I mean, back in the day, it used to be that style, right? You'd get an Evo chamber and just floods of lings early game, and you'd go straight into Ultra Ling, not even getting Hydras pretty much, maybe just a few spores to cover, and that's about it.
We did see earlier, too, another pretty long supply block even after that attack, so Hawk is slipping up just a little bit here on some of these, kind of his macro a little bit. And again, another supply block hitting where we're just touching supply blocks over and over again, and they're just slowing him down a little bit for sure.
Yeah, I feel like that 5 Zealot timing really threw Hawk out of his groove, and he's kind of struggling to slip back into it at the moment. It's giving him a little bit of jeopardy. He's getting a 4th base at this 3 o'clock. Still seems very reasonable for Hawk, but I would no longer say he's like in a clear advantage. We've got 11 Corsairs from Bonyth. He's got good unit control as well, RZ. This could scale out of proportion very quickly for our Zerg to handle.
Yeah, this is where it actually gets scary when you're playing against double Stargate. So if they got double Stargate and you were stuck at home being defensive and they get up to this 11 stack like this, a good player like Bonyth is going to kill so many overlords. That being said, doesn't get any quite yet. Now he's going to be able to start picking a bunch off, and this is like a BGH strategy. You just make a ton of Corsair and just rally them in. You don't care if they die or not.
Yeah, and some DT's going to work on the ground as well in support of those Corsairs. Does supply block Hawk ever so slightly, but I wouldn't say that was like the highest range of possible value that he could have ascertained with that advance. So this is not terrible for Hawk still, as long as he doesn't take too much damage from now on.
Yeah, that was 5 Corsair, I think, going down in total. So that is a big chunk of that oomph kind of taking out of it. And you got to be careful not to bleed those off, because if you lose all your Corsair, Hawk could just go back into Muta, and the last thing you want to do is start double pumping Corsair again.
Yeah, well, I mean, one thing going for Bonyth is he basically gets an expansion for free with that mineral only inside the main, so he's going to have tons of gateways and a crap ton of Zealots in production as well to keep the pressure on Hawk. Maybe threaten this 4th base as well. Going to try and advance into that. There's nowhere near enough gas for Hawk to transition into lurkers anytime soon, so there's a possibility that Bonyth might be able to overwhelm this, but it doesn't seem so. There's just too much Hydra Ling.
Yeah, I guess that is a good point. It's kind of it is a mineral only 3rd, right? So I guess he doesn't have access to that triple gas until just recently does Hawk. So yeah, he doesn't have that big gas buildup, like I'm kind of used to. So he does make, well, I say that. I was going to say he doesn't have the gas to go into a bunch of mutas, but he does do it anyway. There are still, I think it was 6 Corsair left over, so got to be careful with this.
Yeah, you're kind of banking on at least a couple of decent Scourge connections to make sure you don't get these bruised up too much. We'll see. He's going to rotate over to this 3 o'clock yet again is Bonyth. He's got High Templars lagging behind. Maybe the Mutalists can find these High Templars before they get into position. RZ, this is pretty deadly. Preemptive Storm's coming out, but he's still losing a lot of these precious gas units. He is also eliminating pretty much all of these Mutalisks for his troubles, but now there's no splash damage for Bonyth. Can he get the job done with just Zealots and Corsairs alone?
Yeah, that's a nice Templar pickup, but a little bit of a late reaction with the rest of Hawk's army, right? The Hydras are all kind of sitting while he was controlling these mutas, so he is going to take a little bit of damage here in the main. The Hydra's got a decent, or sorry, the Zealot's got a decent trade against the Hydras. Does pick off an Observer as well, and that hatchery looks like it should be fine.
He saves it, yeah. I think he saves it, just barely. He had 3 targeting it initially while the rest tried to zone out the Hydras, but it just wasn't enough DPS.
Yeah. So overall, pretty decent defense for Hawk. The only part that kind of scares me for Hawk is if this 4th base is allowed to actually get up and running for Bonyth.
Yeah.
Then the macro can actually get kind of out of control for layer tech.
Yeah, letting the Protoss get the 3rd gas online, I think, kind of resets the game in terms of the power scaling, and suddenly, like, the onus is then back onto Hawk to continue to expand rapidly, take another corner of the map, and also, like, if Bonyth really needs to, he could just make a shuttle and, like, take a a fourth gas at this island at the 6 o'clock or something, that's going to be a little bit harder for Hawk to assault.
Yeah. Okay, I'm starting to worry for Hawk now a little bit. I feel like we kind of needed a bit of a counterpunch there after that cleanup, and he just stayed a bit more passive. And I don't know that he would have done that if he knew that Bonyth was taking a fourth behind that attack.
Yeah, maybe. It does look pretty good for Bonyth as it stands, but Hawk getting ready to move out now. He's got his units starting to collapse around the army of Bonyth towards the center. Pretty good storm dodging as well. This is actually looking better and better for Hawk as this engagement starts to progress. Just not enough High Templars in support of his army. He sacrificed so many mutas to clean up that first clump of High Templars, and it seems to be paying dividends presently. Like, yes, there's a decent amount of Dragoons, but they're just going to melt to the Hydras without Storm.
Yeah, Goons on their own do not do good against Hydras, and there's a lot of Hydras left over. There are at least 4 cannons here to kind of buffer some against Hydras. He's going to push him into natural here a little bit, pick off a couple extra Goons, and we'll see if he wants to try to pivot into that. These cannons getting a few Hydras on the backside as well, which is decent for Bonyth, but he's going to need to get some reinforcements up here to be able to hold on to the base. There are no Templar behind this.
It's a little bit of a disjointed attack from Hawk. He kind of attacked in with a few Hydras in isolation onto those cannons. A little bit of a panic, maybe. Sometimes when you're doing well in StarCraft, that can get the adrenaline flow and actually make it harder to execute what you need to do. You get kind of excited that you know you're actually close to potentially winning the game. And staying composed is a really important skill to have. Okay, Bonyth trying to move out now to engage these Hydras out in the open, but a massive rally point from Hawk showing up from behind, picks off the High Templar, going to start going to town on the remainder of this Protoss infantry. Does seem like Hawk in the driver's seat presently.
Yeah, that patience from Hawk actually paid off. It allowed him to go kill the reinforcements with his own reinforcements, right? And now it's going to be a much more comfortable break, I feel like, here at the 9 o'clock. There are going to be another round of Zealots joining up with these cannons, but the cannon's mostly going to go down a probe pull as well. Going to try to body block some. Last cannon goes down. Can these Zealots and Goons win this fight? He does have that +2 armor, but more Hydra is going to be reinforcing here. Looks like this is going to be a break from Hawk. And Jean, I think we might be looking at a 2-0 lead for... Sorry, a 2-0 lead for Hawk here against Bonyth.
It does seem like that, Ozzy. I'm kind of blown away and shocked. I'm still rooting for Bonyth just because I want the PVZs. I would feel kind of bad for Rhett if he's forced to play a ZVZ with Hawk. Like, Rhett is not good in ZVZ compared to his other 2 matchups. And if Hawk can somehow find a way of beating Bonyth, he might be our champion.
Yeah, that would be super unexpected. We're so used to seeing either Bonyth or DeWalt every single tournament, and right now Hawk, he has Bonyth up against the ropes here, potentially going to be taking a 2-0 lead. A Reaver does come out here though, is going to be able to defend, but another Templar gets picked off on the outside. 2 fresh Templar, 3 Templar joining. Not quite going to have the energy just yet. I'd love to see Hawk just kind of safety take another base behind all this pressure, but he's just really focused on trying to get the kill right now.
Yeah, this is a problem that some players have, right? You start like just running it down when you know you're really far ahead, and it does give a little bit of a comeback chance to your opponent. I would much rather see an insurance policy in the way of taking a couple more hatcheries in the top left or the bottom right. He could also get lurker tech and make lurkers on the low ground and actually snipe the probes at this mineral only from the low ground. That's another good play on Andromeda.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking that as he was like poking with the Hydras, that a couple lurkers there actually fixes that problem that he's kind of trying to go for. That cannon was actually blocking him a little bit, but yeah, see this fort not very saturated. We're making some drones now as Hawk, and he's in a good position, like a great position, don't get me wrong, but I've seen so many comebacks, especially with Bonyth when he starts getting value. That being said, his main is pretty much completely mined out. Natural not going to be too far behind that either. And, you know, the third is only 5 patches, so it's not like crazy income, but he's got Reavers, and we've seen Bonyth work some serious magic with Reavers many times.
Yeah, it's not over until the Reavers go papazi. I love that Hawk's got an Overlord just chilling at this 6 o'clock. He knows that there's a possibility of Bonyth just sneaking an expansion down there, and if he lets that go up for free, this game will just go on and on and on. He's taking a base down here in the bottom right. Bonyth moving out, though, wanting to challenge Hawk out in the open. He knows it's a pretty much do or die situation right now, and he can't afford to let the Zerg just grow unchallenged.
Yeah, this is a scary army though from Bonyth. It has so much potential efficiency. Love that we're catching the Zealots here on the backside though. That takes a lot of the meat off of that push, and these Reavers gonna be a little bit far ahead, so gonna take some damage as they pick these off. We actually see Mutas popping here, and that could be
Whoa.
potentially a fantastic call from Hawk. And
Look at
even a counterattack going down.
Yeah, this is crazy, man. Look at how many Hydras are here. And Bonyth can't really afford to pull back and defend. And Hawk's actually kind of set up in his natural to defend against the army that Bonyth's got right now. This could be a victory for Hawk. I don't think Bonyth has enough to break through the Zerg's defensive line. He's going to be losing his natural and eventually all of the gateways in the main at this rate. He's got a bunch of mutas. As long as he storm dodges with them good enough, maybe he can handle this. Reavers unloaded onto the high ground to challenge the sunken colonies, but a very good defensive setup from Hawk, and he snipes the shuttle with the Reavers. Bonyth in a throw of desperation trying to break through up this ramp, and Hawk just clinging on by a thread while he's counterattacking inside the Protoss's main base.
Yeah, and very importantly has a couple overlords here with this as well to stop these GTs coming out. And I mean, he killed the natural. If he kills the third, then there's no more mining left for Bonyth. It's just, can he hold on at home in the meantime? Does pick off the last few Templar, except for one straggler here, but these mutas going to start getting some value. Hawk going to be able to defend and going to take the 2-0 lead here against Bonyth.
Wow, that's crazy. Oh my gosh. Winning that game number one is going to prove so crucial with his map pick Andromeda here in game two. Now enjoying a 2-0 lead, so much tempo in this series for Hawk. Just needs to win 2 more games, and Bonyth has to win 4. I mean, historically speaking, it's been about an 80% win rate for Bonyth, so this is definitely doable. But after those first 2 games, he can't be feeling that confident, man.
No, that's kind of that's the problem, right? Like if I feel like, I don't know. It's funny. Historically, Bonyth is still technically favored in in this series right
Yeah,
now,
yeah, yeah.
down 0-2. But with the way they're playing today and the way they're matching up today, man, Hawk looks really, really good. I'm loving the way he's playing. It's like I feel like I can follow his train of thought as he's playing the game, and
Right.
it's like unique though. He's not doing the what everybody does, right? Like everybody says
Mm-hmm.
you should do this and this. He's got his own little take on everything, which is Hawk in a nutshell, and it
Yeah.
is paying off today.
He's a thinking man. You know, he's not necessarily got the best execution, but his macro's pretty damn good, and he understands the game. And sometimes that can be enough to carry you, even against some of the best players out there. And he's showing that here today. He's taking down Bonyth 2 games in a row to lead the series right from the gate. And oh my gosh, man! Like if we have a Hawk versus Ret finals, I do kind of actually favor Hawk in that. Like, it's not like Hawk is really good at ZVZ. It's just that Ret really struggles with that matchup.
Yeah, I'd be pretty interested to see how it goes, if we actually end up getting that. Um, Either way, it would mean that we have a Zerg champion in one of our foreign tournaments, which we just don't get that anymore nowadays.
Yeah, yeah. It's been very Zerg favored in the Korean scene, and a lot of Terran players are whining as loud as they can with the new Protoss favored map pool. But yeah, we've not really had that happen in the foreigner scene much. I mean, we've had a couple of Zergs do well in BSL. You've got Eon Zerg who's been killing it, but
Yeah.
usually it's DeWalt or Bonyth winning just about everything.
Yeah, we're used to seeing DeWalt and Bond as champions, and sometimes we mix in China so we can watch Mihu win instead. That's pretty much how we do things in the foreign scene. But right now, Hawk is he's got Bonneth up against the ropes. You know, Bonneth already took out DeWalt early in the tournament, so this is kind of the last the last chance here for our usual
Yeah.
champions, and I'm excited. I'm getting a little bit hyped. I hate to quote Artosis, but it just does happen. I do get some of those nerd chills during some of these games, and
Nice,
I
nice.
got some that game. That was pretty cool. I enjoyed watching that.
Yeah.
When I saw these Sunkens building on the high ground, like in that line as well, I was like, oh, this is like super cool. We're going mutas. We're building high ground Sunkens. Like I love this from Hawk.
I mean, if you love StarCraft, it's hard not to eventually get nerd chills in some of these games. I definitely get it occasionally, especially when I'm casting the ASL. It's insane what some of these guys are able to do.
Yeah.
Going to be match point as our game number 3. Definitely a good map for Bonyth to start clawing his way back in this series.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure it is. I don't feel like we see many Zerg victories on this map. We even just saw Ret get taken out by Dragon yesterday on this map as well.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
looks like both players are ready, guys. We're jumping into it. Bonyth versus Hawk. Game number 3. Match point.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, spawning here in the bottom left corner, back against the ropes right now, we have our Protoss player from Poland, Bonyth.
Yeah, he's got to step into the boots of Rocky. I don't think he heard a bell just yet. In the top right, though, representing America. Absolutely crushing it so far, leading the series 2-0. The Red Zerg, Hawk.
Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy. Imagine. I'm just imagining a 4-0 Hawk victory right now.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
That would be crazy, right? Like, imagine the confidence boost of beating Bonyth 4-0. Like, how can he not come back to playing StarCraft, like, full time? He's been kind of a little bit of a hiatus. He's been getting into pickleball, of all things, as of late, enjoying life. And, yeah, now he's crushing it in StarCraft against one of the best foreigner players. And he's on top of the world.
Okay, unironically, though, a lot of times when you take a break and you do things like focusing on like physical and mental health and you come back to StarCraft, it is really, really common that you actually peak like soon after that.
Yeah, that is true. I think it not only is because your body and mind are a lot sturdier to cope with the craziness of StarCraft, but also, you know, kind of allows you to think outside the box, because when you're playing for like months and months on end, it's very typical to like get tunnel vision on the game, right? And have a lot of like perspective bias about how things are going, and coming back to the game after a little bit of a break and freshening yourself up kind of does give you a little bit of a superpower.
Yeah. We saw the Forge start from Bonyth, and I was actually wondering if he scouted a 12 hatch. Ooh. Well, that's pretty rare. You don't see that very often at all from Bonyth.
Wow. That's crazy.
Wow.
I don't even know what to say about that. That's just crazy. Losing your probe scout after trying to delay the hatchery. I mean, yeah, I would not be feeling comfortable if I was Bonyth right now. He's opening up Forge. He's going to be playing a little bit more passively in this game, relatively speaking, to those first 2 games that Hawk won. And already a tempo advantage to Hawk with killing that scout. I mean, scouting is so important in PvZ, and these 4 lings could deny any vision from occurring.
Yeah, man, that's rough. I was gonna say, because Bonyth didn't start his Forge till after the scout, I was actually wondering if he was thinking of going for a 12 Nexus, if he saw the hatch first, kind of on reaction, or like a 13 Nexus or something like that, but either way, not going to be the case here, so whatever he might have been thinking, we will not get to find out, and it's just going to be a typical, you know, 13-13 Nexus cannon, although it was more of a 12-12 because the probe died, but I guess same difference.
Yeah, Bonyth trying to break the ankles of those Zerglings and slip the probe in behind the line, but not going to be successful. Hawk wisely taking his 3rd base all the way down here in the bottom right. Really important to keep your build order as dynamic as possible and keep the Protoss guessing by getting this 3rd gas as soon as possible. Bonyth will confirm that with this probe scout. It's a bit of a consolation prize, but not scouting what's inside the main and natural. Got to be stinging a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, normally you do kind of surmise a couple things from spawning the hatchery. Of course, it's always good to get that confirmation. And with Hawk, and he is being a little bit... I don't know if tricky is the right word, but he's being a little bit different. So you do kind of want to get that confirmation. The probe actually kind of getting inside. Not going to get into the main, though. Hawk is going to be able to block it off there. And it is going to be the Hydra Den and no layer behind this from Hawk.
Yeah, he really needs to get in here and confirm this, and he just can't. And there's actually no way of knowing if this is a Hydra Den or not based on what he sees in the natural right now. So yeah, this doesn't feel good for Bonyth. He's kind of got to hedge his bets mean, there's ways you can deal with it. Like you can start the third cannon and cancel it at 99 if the Corsair doesn't see any Hydras on the way. Like there's a few little tricks you can do to make this easier, but it's still not ideal either way.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really it, right? You can start the cannons in the middle line, the cannon at the front, cancel everything as you get a confirmation as your Corsair is going across, but it's not what you want to do. Like you said, you're putting that, even though you're not wasting as much money because you get the cancel, you do still lose some money, and that's also money that's not going into your tech and gateways earlier, right? It's stuff that gets delayed just a little bit, and the probe desperately trying to get inside is actually going to be able to slip inside, so this will be nice for Bonyth. He can now actually adapt in time. He also sees Larva being saved.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible Hawk might just not make that many Hydras now as well, right? And just kind of force a few cannons and just turn this into a bit of Oh, nice snipe with the Zealot and the drone, man. Like, despite losing that first probe scout, Bonyth doing a really good job disrupting the mining here at the third for so long and getting a drone kill. This is about as good as it gets.
The Zealot was down there. It was one of those things where it's like, you see the Lings going to the Zealot, and you look away, and you're like, okay, that Zealot's, it's going to trade against the Lings, it'll die. And then you look back like a minute and a half later, and the Zealot's still being annoying. Like, I love that.
Okay, starting that third cannon, like, even though Hawk might not fully commit into this, he still needs to be safe. At least he can avoid making cannons in his mineral lines now, so it's not as big of a deal. And let's see if Hawk actually wants to fully commit into a bust still, potentially. He has made a few Hydras at this bottom right base. And let's see, he's still got quite a few lava he could be making into more Hydras, but he got supply blocked with that Corsair first killing that Overlord. Another advantage of scouting the Hydra den with the probe is that you can get an Overlord kill rather than having to run straight across the map, so that also puts another hiccup into the Hawk's machinery.
Yeah, and here we're seeing a little bit of that kind of Hawk flare. Instead of a fourth macro hatchery, which you normally see at the third base, he's actually just dropping it on location. This is kind of like the style we were talking about, a little bit of what you were doing, where it's like instead of picking macro hatcheries, you're just dropping them at bases. It does run the risk of stretching a bit thin, but honestly, on this map, it's all kind of in line together, so it seems like it's not a terrible idea.
Yeah, it's okay. It's weaker against gateway openings than it is forge openings, so Hawk's got that going for him as well. His lair's going to be a little bit delayed, but maybe not as much as that first game on Octagon. So it's looking pretty reasonable from Hawk, but I like that Bonyth is still in this game with that Zealot pressure. He's not just going to get absolutely obliterated again, hopefully.
Yeah, and there's also the risk of, you scout this fourth hatch as Bonyth, as Bonyth, but it doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to be using it for droning and economy. It could just be like a macro hatch on location, so it can be a little bit misleading, kind of like, this is part of the flexibility of it. It's going to get up here, there is a DT here, and there's no Overlord anywhere in the vicinity.
Yeah, it's kind of surprising that Hawk's going to still try and press this. I feel like this is a bit of a mistake, honestly. I don't feel like he should be trying to break these cannons right now. Like, theoretically, he can kill all 4 of those cannons, but he won't have any Hydras left, and he won't have anything to follow up with.
Yeah, the DT is just wreaking havoc. I'm kind of with you on that one. I feel like when you see this many cannons going, and you've got the DT on top of you, just preserve your Hydras. Like, he's already spent all the money. You've got these Hydras for defense. You've got a fourth base on location. Like, I feel like you don't need to throw the Hydras into the cannons at that point.
Yeah, I mean, you need to keep them alive anyway, because you want to be able to drone right now. Like,
exactly.
This does feel a little bit disjointed from Hawk. Not quite the same decisive decision making we saw in those first 2 games, and might be a window here for Bonyth to get back in it. DT as well going to be forcing a turnaround of these drones, denying mining yet again at this base down here in the bottom right. Hawk's going to eventually clean this up for sure, but any economic damage that Bonyth is doing to him is going to feel great right now.
Yeah, and Bonyth's going to jump on top of a drone right away, so drone is going to pop, force another pull there. The Overlord not actually in range, so another drone gets picked off, and this is what I'm talking about with Bonyth. This dude squeezes value out of things when you think that it's over. He always finds that just one extra little kill somewhere that just really kind of annoys the heck out of you.
That's kind of the beauty of StarCraft, man. It's like game inception. Like, there's lots of little mini games within the overall game, right? And Bonyth is really good at playing those.
Yeah, I'll say one positive for Hawk Even though I feel like that attack not great for him. Uh, Bonyth did at least rebuild a lot of the cannons after he killed them, so that does mitigate some of the deficit that Hawk had kind of taken from that trade, I think.
Yeah, yeah. It looks reasonable for Hawk. Like, I wouldn't say this is advantage Bonyth necessarily. It's a little bit harder to hold on to these 4 bases to this Zealot move out that we're about to see now. Hawk did force a bunch of cannons despite sacrificing a lot of Hydras in the process, so it's a little bit of swings and roundabouts for both sides. I could definitely see Hawk translating this into a win still. It's just that he's not going to have like a big advantage like he did in some of these other games.
Yeah. Yeah, one thing I like too that Bonet's been doing is, and I know this is kind of like standard, but he's doing a good job of keeping his Corsair alive and constantly checking to make sure there was no lair. So he's just being able to skip those extra cannons in the middle line and not have to react to meters just yet. Bunch of Zealots coming down here to the bottom right. Not a whole lot of Hydras here yet. That hatchery also a little bit low, but he's actually going for the Evo chamber. Denied the upgrades, and in theory, if he prevents +1 Hydras and he gets to +2 armor, he doesn't even need to learn to start fighting, to be honest.
Well, there's one thing interesting that Hawk did here was that he didn't send his reinforcement Hydras on a direct path down here to the bottom right. Like, he wrapped them around from behind because he wanted to swallow up all of the Zealots to take out a lot of the possible army composition that Bonyth can muster leading into this next phase of the game. It's going to be a little bit more challenging now for Bonyth to secure this 3rd base and this high ground above it, since he, even though he did a bit of damage there, killed the Evo chain, but he did just sacrifice a bunch of Zealots for doing it.
Yeah, he basically has to delay taking it. Oh, I love this. We have the shuttle coming, the Corsair confirming there is no Overlord in the vicinity. And if Hawk doesn't get an Overlord up, it is actually on the way right now. Bonyth
So
spots
close.
the exact trajectory. We're gonna see, can this DT get any damage done? Does Hawk notice the shimmer? It's really hard to pick up on this unless you're a ret, apparently.
Okay, he's looking. He sees.
Wow. Okay. Well, there you go.
Only 1 drone. That's pretty good.
Yeah. 1 drone, a little bit of lost mining. Bonyth, of course, gonna pivot to the other side. Gonna lose track just a little bit of this DT, and it's just gonna continue to be annoying. And this does give Bonyth some breathing room while Hawk is gonna be focused on this to start taking that 3rd base and kind of get set up on the high ground.
Absolutely, yeah. That's actually really important here for Bonyth to preemptively get set up so that he can stop the Zerg already laying siege to him.
John, that is a scary army.
It is pretty scary. It's a lot of Dragoons and 4 High Templars in support. Despite not having any Zealots, like, this is more than enough Dragoons. You typically want anywhere between like 1.5 to 2 control groups worth of Dragoons. I think he's closer to 2 control groups on that range. And yeah, this is looking like maybe Bonyth can still do this. Like, I don't think there's enough units to wrestle this high ground back away from Bonyth once he starts attacking.
Yeah, I think he's gonna, with the reinforcing Zealots behind this, he's gonna be able to get onto the high ground uncontested here. And yeah, the Zealot's gonna be coming in behind. We got a lot of Storm built up here. First Storm gonna be pretty good, a little bit slow on the dodge there was Hawk. Second Storm not great, but there's not a lot of units here for Hawk at all, really. And these Overlords gonna just get rallied into it. And now Bonyth has the high ground control over this 4th base. And I just don't think Hawk just doesn't have much right now.
No, he doesn't. This looks like a dead Zerg if I've ever seen one. RZ, he's about almost 55 supply behind Bonyth right now, desperately trying to get on top of some of these high Templars and Dragoons from behind. Not going to be good enough. GG is called, and Bonyth has started his comeback journey against Hawk. Still 3 more games to go, but he looked pretty damn strong on match point.
Yeah, that looked very solid from Bonyth. I felt pretty good about the opening for Hawk overall. Thought it was fine, but yeah, I mean, these distractions and little values that he squeezes out, the attack onto the cannon line from Hawk, cutting a lot of drones to make all these Hydras, and then having to remake the Hydras because we lost all the Hydras, so your drone count's even lower. It's tough. It was a tough situation for Hawk after how that early game went for him.
I mean, this mostly comes down to the probe getting the confirmation scout on the den. If that doesn't happen, then you've got to really hedge your bets as Protoss, and he's probably wasting more money on cannons and the mineral lines, and can't quite squeeze out an army like that in the mid game. It's possible that could have happened, but yeah, luckily he was able to get that confirmation scout off.
Yeah. Yeah, and those little things all add up, right? Like if you think about the little victories that Bonyth was getting, like the Zealot running around the third and stopping mining, killing a drone, interrupting mining again for so long, being able to get that
Yeah,
scout off so it can kill the Overlord to force a supply block to then lower the drone count and the Hydra count even more. Like just these little
exactly.
things like build up over and over and over time, and it leads to these kind of big leads sometimes that you see like we had with Bonnet there.
Yeah, a lot of people make the mistake of like analyzing their decision making like 15 minutes into a game, but the
Yeah.
reality is like it's usually the first 6 minutes of the game where you made the mistakes that led up to that.
Yeah. Yeah, I when people ask me sometimes when I'm coaching, I'll go over the full replay. Sometimes, like a lot of times, something like that'll happen where it's like a Zerg will go in and lose like 5 or 6 meters, like their first 5 meters, and I'm like, okay, well the game's over. We can keep watching, but the game's already over. Like I know this is a 30-minute game, but theoretically, this shouldn't be playable.
Yeah, yeah. I know exactly what you mean, man. I think if like people are just wanting to get better at the game, like forget what you're doing later on. Just literally focus on the first 6 minutes and optimize that, and then you'll always will have a strong mid to late game transition, pretty much.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Well, nice that Bonnet has started his comeback here. Not going to get 4-0 swept by Hawk. Not that I expected something like that, but Hawk
Yeah.
was starting to make me a little bit of a believer.
We'll see though. Could still be a 4-1. It is possible. But guys, we'll be going to a little bit of a commercial break now. So run to the bathroom, grab some fruit, grab some water, whatever you got to do. Crack open one of your 6-pack and join us for that game number 4 between Hawk and Bonyth. Don't go anywhere. guys, welcome back to the IPSL semi-finals match. We've currently got Hawk leading the series 2-1 against Bonyth, but Bonyth on that comeback trajectory after winning that last game. But the next map's gonna be Generator. That's another Hawk pick. Maybe he's got a spicy little game plan in store for us. That's a map that's actually really good for 9 hatchery because of the fastest minerals. I'm curious if Hawk's gonna elect to go for that here.
Yeah, I'll definitely going to be keeping an eye on what Hawk wants to do this game. He's shown us some interesting stuff so far. The last game on match point, it's kind of ZVP, right? On match point,
Yeah.
we see Zerg's kind of flounder on this map quite a bit. You mentioned it off the stream there, even that a lot of Zergs aren't even practicing it because they keep it vetoed and they just kind of avoid the map in general. So I don't know how much
Yeah.
preparation Hawk had for that when it might have just been kind of a throwaway map for him, and we'll see what he's got prepped for us here on Generator, because I'd be willing to bet he's got something in mind here for sure.
Yeah, I mean, these guys don't have to pay any attention to me, but I would recommend if you're a tournament player, you stop vetoing some of these maps. If you really want to be a well-rounded player that doesn't give away free wins in series, I feel like you got to just bite the bullet and play on these slightly less comfortable maps.
Yeah. And I know, like, this happens a lot too. I know it happens to me, and I've seen it happen to other people, where it's like, when you're on a map that's not comfortable, like you haven't practiced it, it's like your basics kind of fall apart too, because your brain isn't like
Yeah,
fully focused on what you're doing normally, because you have
right.
this like weird thing where it's like your part of your focus is going into like the map and like analyzing the map while you're playing, and you're not doing your usual stuff like quite as on beat as you would normally.
I know exactly what you mean, because usually you're like kind of semi-playing on autopilot, going through the motions, but then that frees up your brain to like think about your overall strategy and what you want to do. But it looks like both players are ready. We're going to be jumping right into it now, guys. Game number 4, Hawk versus Bonyth in the IPSL semi-finals, the map Generator.
Okay, spawning here in the top left corner, our Protoss player from Poland, potentially beginning his comeback. We have Bonyth.
Down here in the bottom right, still leading the series 2-1, representing America, the Red Zerg, Hawk.
Okay, so yeah, we're gonna keep an eye on what he wants to open here with, if it's gonna be the 9 hatch or what exactly we'll be looking at.
Yeah, so is it like 54 seconds you get of these fastest hallucinated patches? Splitting can be a little bit awkward off of that. I mean, you can clone, but when you've got that many workers to clone to different patches, it's not going to be a perfect split. But Hawk's actually preemptively splitting some of his workers to make his job a little bit easier.
Yeah. Yeah, those kind of optimizations that you expect out of these players. Little things like that.
Yeah. And it is going to be that 9 hatch like I expected, which also does pretty damn good against that gateway. You're basically able to make 8 lings as the Zealot is coming into your base, so you can easily deal with that.
Yeah. Pretty cool opening. I mean, it's not unexpected, I guess, but this does feel pretty good as Zerg. It's always funny because when you're playing with like stuff accelerated, if you haven't done it too often, it feels like you're the only one that gets the advantage. You know what I mean? Where like in your brain you're like, dude, my gateway is so fast right now. Like I can for sure just kill him. Like look how fast my gateway timing is. Like it kind of feels this way sometimes, but of course, obviously it doesn't work out that way. It can be pretty hard to kind of take into account how the game flows when your opponent also has that kind of acceleration, because we've been playing StarCraft for many years, okay?
Yep.
And we have these like innate like inner timers for how things are supposed to be, and it just gets thrown completely out of whack when you have openings like this.
It really does. I feel like the 9 hatch kind of solves that problem for the Zerg, at least. So, you know, the timings, as long as you understand 9 hatch, I feel like you're okay. But for the other races, maybe not so much. Bonyth actually going to find this hatchery at the 6 o'clock, now rotating around with that probe scout to come in here. Zealot will be trailing behind as well to come put on some pressure, but he's going to have a lot of lava to morph into lings if he so desires to deal with this initial pressure.
Hawk went for this hatchery like crazy fast, by the way. And this
It's
was
unusual, yeah.
He cut some Yeah,
Go on.
he was cutting some drones to get it like ASAP, so he's really want to get access to these larvae as soon as possible. But a second zealot going to be combined with the probe down here at the 6 o'clock means that we're going to need a lot of lings to try and clear this.
Yeah, I mean, you could make those 8 lings I was talking about, but he has elected to be greedy instead. But Bonyth, he's going to try and punish that, already chipping away at this hatchery. You can use this hatchery's HP as a resource and kind of just try and buy time until more additional zerglings can get over here. But already a lot of damage put onto that hatchery. Eventually there will be enough lings to clear this, but even if he doesn't kill the hatchery, it's going to be weak to future counterattacks. It looks like he is going to save this just fine. Getting away with this is a really big deal for Hawk, I would say, though.
Yeah, end up making a fair amount of lings, but he's going to have a lot left over. And one important thing about having these leftover lings is as long as you clear the zealots and you have some left over, it's pretty good for you because you don't have to make any more. Although he is making more. Wow.
He's going all in. He's going all in. Yeah, it looks like it. Even just slow links. But he doesn't know where Bonyth is, so he checked the bottom left first. That doesn't matter too much because he has to wait for the additional lings to arrive anyway, so this is kind of going to help him synchronize his attack here. Just one cannon behind this, but if he does target fire down this probe, before the additional probes can get to the wall, he could just annihilate Bonyth all at once. Let's see if he can actually get additional probes to try and save the day. Oh, a bit of a mistake there. He kind of showed the lings preemptively and gave Bonyth enough time to be set up to react, so it looks like he's going to abandon the attack completely.
Yeah. Huh. We made a lot of lings, Sean. That's a lot less drones. So I really liked it for Hawk with the defense because I was like, you have this many lings left over, you can use them for defense. You don't have to make any more for like a while now, and we can drone so much. But I mean, we went to like 20 lings or something.
Yeah.
I guess not 20, but it's still a lot.
I don't know, man. I feel like that must have been a mistake from Hawk. The way he kind of like went in a conga line with his lings and showed them to Bonyth. I feel like that was just an oversight, and then he had to abandon ship afterwards.
Well, he did do this kind of like 5 hatch before gas that you were talking about, so he's at least going to have a lot of larvae pretty early on. So
yeah, it's a really strong build.
Potential heavy eco. It's just, I feel like it's offset a little bit because we made so many lings for no gain, really. So
I mean, he's got more lava than usual, so I guess he can kind of compensate, but he could have such a stronger economy than he actually does, right? Like, he's in a good position, but it could be way better.
Yeah, I still like this opening for Hawk overall, for sure. Again, I'd be curious to ask him if we get him in the interview. I really want to know if this was a mistake or what he was thinking here, because I'm actually not entirely sure what happened here.
I feel like it's got to be a mistake, because like, why would you even make the links? Like, you know, he's going to have a zealot probe war with at least one cannon. Like, that's like the bare minimal the Protoss will have at that phase. So why would you even bother making the lings if that was a deterrent?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. All right, Hydra's going to pop out. This Overlord is going to be under fire, but not going to be able to go down. And he does know about the... Yeah, he's got a second Corsair going onto the Overlord in the middle, so he's at least going to be able to kill that one and get some decent damage on a couple of these. But one Overlord kill, you know, you'll take what you can get.
Yeah, you expect to lose one Overlord. The maximum you can lose is 2 and still be okay. Ideally, you only want to lose 1. Because he's invested in a lot of lings early, he only wants to lose 1 in this situation. It does look like he's going to get away with that still. So things are still kind of lining up okay for Hawk.
Yeah. Yeah, I still like it for him. Another round of drones, I think, on the way here. And I mean, he should be able to comfortably get into saturation. I mean, worst case scenario, he has a ton of lings too to help buffer against Zealot. So one Overlord is going to get picked off here as the X runs hatch, so that supply block not going to mess with him too much. And actually, we were pumping a lot of Hydras already, so we might be looking at some potential aggression. This could just be for the anti-Zealots, but I feel like he's made more than what he needs for that. So this to me kind of signals that he wants to go for a bit of a counter-aggression.
I think so. I really like that Hawk made a bunch of Overlords in one big batch. That like kind of prevents like any possibility of like Bonyth coming in and killing 1 or 2 Overlords and supply blocking him and hiccuping that attack timing. Some Zealots though coming in with speed to this third base location. Plenty of Hydra Ling here to prevent any mining disruption, it seems. So yeah, this could be a very strong counter attack from our Zerg.
Yeah, a bunch of lings popped even as those zealots showed up, and I kind of thought Hawk was going to pull the trigger right away, but he's actually sitting back a little bit. But he has, dude, John, he has a lot of units right now.
He's even on supply with Bonyth. But Bonyth saw those lings hatch, so like you got to be thinking, okay, maybe I could throw down an extra cannon or two in my natural. I might have enough time to get those 2 storms, obviously, but maybe would be wise to throw down an extra cannon in our natural. But he's just sitting on 2. I kind of feel like 3 would be safer, but maybe if the storms are good enough, he still feels fine.
Yeah, maybe just thinking he can just do it on reaction, start the cannons when he sees it coming. But he did scout drones coming out with this Corsair, and he saw the lair start, so...
Yeah, there is one...
Okay, there's 2 Overlords here.
I was going to say, there is one mistake from Hawk. Like, he should have slow-boated this Overlord on the left-hand side of the map up, so he can use that for DT if he does want to put on pressure. But he hasn't done that, so until the Overlord speed kicks in, he actually can't really attack.
Yeah. Man, look at the way Bonyth squeezes out every little bit of value, just controlling this DT, like playing on the outside of vision to pick off 2 additional Hydras.
Yeah, I kind of feel like we might not see that attack from Hawk anymore. Like, the fact that this Overlord didn't try and sneak up the map and he has to wait for the Overlord speed, I feel like Bonyth's going to be fine by the time he gets around to moving out.
Yeah, he's going to have a fair amount of storms set up at home by the time he gets there, right? I don't know if maybe Hawk expected just way more units from Bonyth, because if this amount of units was purely defensive, he went way overboard on the amount of army he needed for defense. It was like 8 zealots versus like 30 hydras and 20 something lings. Like,
no, yeah. I definitely feel like Hawk was anticipating to go for an attack, because I know he understands the game theory of ZVP really well. Like, he knows that at most he needs like 2 control groups of hydras, right, to defend against the initial zealot Templar aggression from the Protoss, and he made way more than that. So yeah, I feel like he was going to attack, and now he's shifting up his game plan.
Yeah. Okay, catches this DT. Nice to get that off on the map. These 3 Corsairs still sitting here on the left side, kind of spotting a little bit, and we see a bit of a move out here from Bonyth. He is at that 125 supply. It's usually around like the 140-ish mark is when you start getting pretty scared of the Goon Templar Deathball. Ling spots this Nexus coming down immediately, as well as the attack. And we've seen this from Bonyth pretty much every game. He likes to push behind his expansion, not just expand and defend.
Okay, well, he's still got plenty of units to gobble up this Protoss army. Nice little choke point, though, to funnel the Hydras into all of this Psionic Storm. A little bit of preemptive spreading of the Hydras from Hawk as well, trying to bait out some of that Storm without losing too many of his units in the process. He can also rotate his Hydras to the center to threaten us around. He's also going to try and maybe snipe some of these High Templars from a flank if Bonyth's not careful.
Yeah. 1 Templar not getting the memo on which way to go. That's also just Brood War in a nutshell, where units just randomly decide that they're not going to be part of the...
They're Sigma units, RZ. They follow the beat of their own drum.
Yeah. When the commander says, hey, everybody go back here, and he's like, no, I'm going to go this way and die just to prove you wrong.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this game looks pretty good for Hawk still. Like, despite losing the opportunity or maybe getting a good early game timing attack, he's going to get a 4th base. He's got plenty of army to prevent Bonyth from getting a 3rd gas early. So I still feel like overall this is okay.
Yeah, I think it's... I'd say this is probably the most even game state that we've seen between these 2 players.
Yeah, I can get behind that. Bonyth's going to have a pretty scary army because he only had to make like just a trio of Corsairs. So he's got plenty of gas for that Templar Goon-based army. So definitely will have a scary death pool, but also Hawk investing in so many units early on kind of nullifies Bonyth being able to punish pure Hydra. Usually, like, pure Hydra gets squashed by this kind of army composition, but he's bought enough time to get lurkers out, so it does seem very even.
Yeah, his army is set up just kind of all around as well for a potential surround. Bit of a skirmish here breaking on the right side. We do see the reinforcements coming here, or sorry, yeah, from the left side here. Some flanking lurkers going to try and get on top of these. Storm are going to bunch up a little bit here, but no Storm even needed to clear these. They're kind of separated from the Hydras and a little bit disjointed, I feel like, from Hawk. He's kind of got squads of units everywhere and not everything coming together quite like I think he had planned, whereas Bonyth doing a much better job of keeping his armor together and getting better exchanges.
Yeah, honestly, this is like the hardest thing about Zerg and ZVP is just making sure your army is in synchronicity. And very often it's not, and it all just gets obliterated. But if you can somehow set up a perfect flank or surround or whatever engagement, like the units do tend to claw through the Protoss infantry so fast. But yeah, this game around, Hawk's not been so on top of that. Hydra's coming in, actually going to maybe deny this probe from getting over here to the 12, or actually not going to pick that up, instead rotating around now to the third base. That's a massive Sonic Storm on those Hydras. He's going to lose so many units here and basically accomplishes nothing.
Yeah, that was essentially a gift from Hawk. There was a lot of Hydras going down, some reinforcing, or some retreating Hydras getting picked off as well, trying to get back home, and Bonnet's going to drop that 4th Nexus behind this, and he is in a fantastic position now.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I thought he was going to rotate to the 12, deny the probe, and then just retreat the Hydras out to the east. And maybe he just got a little bit antsy and saw an opportunity to maybe collapse onto that mineral only and got a little bit too big for his boots there. And suddenly the game going a little bit more towards Bonyth's side of things. Got a massive, scary death ball encroaching on this southern hemisphere, getting some good value trades on these clumped up lurkers as well. This is not looking good for Hawk. He's losing his supporting units before the Hydras can even get in to do the damage that they need to do. He has got a pretty good surround on this army. Let's see how good the storms are from Bonyth. It actually uses a full energy High Templar here, not able to quickly pop off those storms as he would like to. So Hawk actually trading out way better than he should, maybe.
Yeah, he's still not in a great position, I think, but he didn't die there, which in my brain he was dead. Like when I saw this army coming across, he lost all these lurkers. I was like, okay, we're gonna GG here after this fight. But he actually gets a fantastic surround, like you pointed out, killing those full energy Templar. They're on the right side. They kind of got isolated, and you know, Hawk gonna be able to hang in there. And as long as he's alive, the game is still playable, right? He is taking that 5th base behind it. I mean, it is a 4-base, potential 4-gas Protoss soon. And I think we're still on lair tech. And if that's the case, it doesn't get easier. I'll say that.
No. And Bonyth, very on brand with the double robo production, got some Reavers in conjunction with Shuttle now. And with this 4th base coming online, 3rd gas being taken, looking pretty good here for Bonyth. Hawk's playing wide rather than deep in the sense that he's staying on lair tech, getting this 5th base online, but it's not always easy to play this style against Protoss. If you're delaying going into Hive and getting Plague, the Protoss with Reaver support on this ground-based army gonna have a bit of a field day with the trades unless you can set up a fantastic flank.
Yeah, it's already hard enough against Skin Storm, but when you mix in Reavers, it gets even worse for lair tech. So
yeah,
Reaver's going to start getting some pretty good value, picking up a lot of these Hydras on the front side. The Zealots do at least get pulled into the lurkers some, and a bunch of the meat does go down. I mean, he has a lot of Hydras here on the right side as well for a bit of a flank. Maybe going to be able to catch the shuttle here if he can push it into some Hydras, but I mean, this is a big commitment from Bonyth, so he's going to need to trade out really, really well here. The Reaver is getting microed pretty well. Storm there on the right side, going to catch a lot of the Hydras. Nice pull, though, from Hawk. And are we going to see that pick up and escape? Nice lurker or Scarab shots to keep those Hydras from reaching the shuttle. And he is getting maximum value out of this, but Hawk is going to be able to clean this up at the end of the day.
Yeah, the SimCity kind of working against Hawk here, making it harder to get on top of these final few units of the Protoss army, but the trades are still pretty damn good for Bonyth. Like, that could have gone so horribly wrong for him. Like, if the Reaver and Shuttle didn't dance that tightrope quite as good as that, like, he would have easily just gone splat, but does do enough damage to keep himself in this game. Overall, that trade worked out better for Hawk than Bonyth on paper, but that could have gone horribly wrong for Bonyth with the commitment. But I would say he traded about just barely on the minimum end of the expected value range to still be in this.
Yeah, it's funny. That actually could have been a losing attack. Like, that could have been a game-losing attack for Bonyth if he did not fight as well as he did there. Hawk's done such a good job of engaging these fights in a way where Bonyth can't retreat after getting his trades. Like, he's not able to get a bunch of Reaver value, get a bunch of Storm value, and then leave, because Hawk is always coming from every direction, so there is nowhere for Bonyth to run once these fights are breaking out.
Yeah, looks like Bonyth now taking a 5th base here on the right-hand side of the mineral only, trying to split the map in half. Very important for the Protoss at this phase of the game. If you're going to go late with the Zerg, you need to split the map in the half with Reavers to get that win rate as close to 50% as possible as you develop. Luckily, there's no quick hive here from Hawk, so that job will be easier for Bonyth than usual. And Hawk himself taking a 6th base all the way down here in the bottom left quadrant of the map, trying to pounce on top of this Reaver and shuttle combination. Can't quite get any snipes from the low ground here. So far, Bonyth still trading pretty effectively, despite the supplies reflecting a Zerg advantage game.
Yeah, it's that big tech advantage, right? It's going to be the issue here for Hawk. And I'll be honest with you, this is probably the most bases I've seen in a PvZ where Zerg was still just on layer tech, outside of like a Jimin game.
Well, usually, Layerless style Battle Zerg is designed to stop the Protoss from expanding, right? Mm-hmm. So the fact that Bonyth is kind of having his cake and eating it is going to be problematic for Hawk. Like, you need Plague to deal with what Bonyth is doing right now, and he's just not going to have those tools. So Hawk's kind of got to expand like a madman and somehow deny Bonyth from taking the top right. That's going to be hard.
Yeah. Yeah, if Bonyth manages to creep out there into that top right and get those 2 bases, then he pretty much is winning like the game at that point. Like, even if Zerg has the rest of the map, like theoretically he trades well enough that he can win from there. And there's no real big threat from Hawk at this point, I feel like, onto these bases. And we kind of see that. I mean, Bonyth just kind of like going side to side here with his army, maybe looking for some picks or some skirmishes, but actually is going to commit into the 3 o'clock position here. So we're going to see how this goes for him. A lot of lurkers are set up, some Hydras coming here on the backside, maybe going to get some, oh my god, these defensive storms that were pretty good, so a lot of that got softened up from Hawk.
I love this posturing from Bonyth. Like, he kind of threatens the full commitment, but then he shuffles back to the high ground advantage, baiting in the flank from behind and then shutting it down yet again. And Hawk is approaching max supply, which usually you'd think, oh, this is great for the Zerg, but again, doesn't have that hive. It's still not an easy fight here for Hawk, and Bonyth will be creeping into those 2 bases in the top right as we progress, going to be favoring Protoss against a hiveless Zerg, unfortunately. Usually in a split map position like this, and they've gone like 4 base hive, it would snipe on the shuttle. Could be a big tipping point here for Hawk. Gets a shot on the observer as well. A little bit of Lady Luck smiling at our Zerg player right now. These units are going to trade out okay as long as he storm dodges as the reinforcements arrive, but picking off that Reaver shuttle combination definitely going to be going his way.
Yeah, as that's a start for Hawk. I mean, it helps.
We can counterattack the top right now.
Yeah, this is okay. This is what I wanted to see from Hawk. So he had everything pulled there on the left side, so I wanted him to get up here and kind of delay this and deny this a little bit. And oh my god, these Reaver shots getting pretty good value. Gonna jump on top of one of the Reavers, but it's gonna get picked up. And yeah, that was, I don't even want to call that a trade. That was just Bonyth killing a lot of Hydras.
Yeah, this is a mistake from Hawk. Like, he positioned his army for an assault on the mineral only at the 9 o'clock, but that mainly works if it's happening while you're fighting on the right-hand side. Now he's just pulling everything back to try and deal with this Protoss assaulting army. He should have enough forces to clean this up, actually. Bonyth is committing very deep, and look at the wraparound here from Hawk as well, denying an easy path of retreat. Lurkers bearing in the face of the Protoss, but the attack is again disjointed from Hawk. All the units running over to the left-hand side and not engaging simultaneously from that northern flank. Going to be helping Bonyth trade efficiently yet again.
Yeah, I mean, you see, like, the plan from Hawk, and it looks great, but the execution just not quite there. He did have a full surround setup, but everything on the north side, instead of, you know, kind of pincering down from the top, just went left and actually body blocked some of his units transferring over. And big storms going to be able to clean up these Hydras. Does lose that last Reaver on the backside, and at least a few Hydras here are going to be a little bit annoying, but now Bonyth is starting to get set up into this top right corner.
Yeah, the execution of those surrounds is really tricky for Zerg because there's no way you can slice it. You have to end up box selecting at least about
Yeah.
half of your army. Usually, what you're doing is box selecting the army at your rally points, sending them in attack move to a frontal assault, and you've got about 4 or 5 control groups of units in flanking positions that are on the control groups to initiate a synchronous attack. He's actually morphing some lurkers in the pockets of this expansion in the top right. Maybe later on could get a massive probe line detonation with those subterranean spines, but I don't know. It's looking pretty dicey for Hawk. Like the fact that he's delaying going for Hive this long, it doesn't feel great. Maybe he can still make it work with his large standing army.
Yeah, gonna be tough. Some Zealots are getting caught out here with these Hydras, and it looks like Bonyth actually wasn't quite paying the most attention, which is interesting because we saw the Zealots get pulled back, but then the Templar got ignored. It's because we were focused here on the 3 o'clock spawn. We're gonna be able to break this base and kill this, and this is the first expansion we've like seen go down in this game. Huge defensive storms onto these Hydras with the fights breaking out. It's hard when you're Zerg in this situation to not overclump when you're dealing with multiple attacks going on.
Yeah, unfortunately, there was just too much storm in reserve there for Bonyth. And he's attacking the 12 o'clock now, but there's a gateway there with a few high Templars and a bunch of cannons as well. So there's no easy compensation here from the Zerg. He's just sustaining losses, and with no Hive behind this, on paper, this should be a Protoss victory as we go forward.
Yeah. Crazy value out of these storms. Manages to defend all of his bases with just a little, the few Templar that he had at home, the reinforcements, the cannons, everything like that. And Bonyth's going to break through here. Kills 2 bases, gets into the natural now, killing a bunch of the rally. We see him now taking a 100 supply lead over Hawk. And it looks like, Jean, we're going to be tying this series up 2-2.
Wow, this was Hawk's map pick, so this could spell disaster for his chances at getting through to the finals to face off against Rhett, in which I would consider him favored. It's a shame, man. He was leading this series 2-0. I think I saw Machine in the chat just saying that Bonyth was kind of giving him hope and then ripping it away from him. Certainly does feel like that, whether or not intentional. And now I'm a little bit scared for Hawk. There's so much tempo going towards Bonyth's side of things, and his 2 little clutch map picks with Andromeda and Generator not quite panning out.
Yeah, unfortunately not. I mean, the Andromeda game went really well for him. That was a really cool game, but yeah, this game, I feel like he was in good positions. I mean, it's easy for us as the observer to like look at him and be like, "Hawk, you can
Sure.
go kill him now." But obviously in the game it's not that easy, right? Like especially because Aura is a thing, okay? When you're playing against Bonyth, it never crosses your mind that I can just go kill him, you know? But I do
Yeah.
think there was a window there, but again, you just don't know. And kind of like we were talking about earlier, your understanding of the tempo of the game is thrown off. Like it's hard for you to know how far ahead you are when you know that your opponent also got this boosting as well. So
For
I
sure.
think
For
Hawk
sure.
maybe wasn't able to quite identify how good of a window he may have had there.
Yeah, it also did feel a shame that he kind of set up for a really good surround and just didn't have the execution to see it through. But that's kind of the nature of Zerg at a high level. Like you'll see the pro gamers do it easily, but just because it looks easy doesn't mean it is. It's kind of like a jazz musician, right? Like they make it seem so damn simple and easy, but that's just because they're trying to look cool while doing it. It's actually very technical and difficult to pull off.
Yeah. And Hawk will tell you before anybody else as well, he feels like he's not very fast, which is funny because I mean, for him, slow at his level is going to be like around 250 APM. But he actually says quite often he's not fast. I've heard him say specifically he is not fast enough to beat Bonyth. And I think part of what we're seeing there with these surrounds and stuff is that he just doesn't quite have the hand speed that he wants to pull off what he's
Yeah.
thinking.
Yeah, I mean, maybe a macro Protoss that doesn't quite control his army or position it as well as Bonyth he could maybe deal with. But yeah, Bonyth
Yeah.
is just something else. He has such good situational awareness when he's positioning his army out on the map and getting the maximum value out of it that he can at any junction. It's really hard to punish a style like that.
Yeah.
And even though he doesn't have the best macro, he still covers all of his bases. You know, cannons at every base, a gateway with some high Templars there as well. So you can't just get an easy counterattack to find compensation for losing a base. Just nothing was panning out there for Hawk.
Yeah, and we saw it too. Those Hydras went to every single base, and they just ate a storm in the face for every check that they went for. Bonyth had Templar there waiting, and yeah, that is one thing. Bonyth also a pretty intelligent player, and he makes sure to. I mean, he's a veteran. He covers this stuff.
Yeah, well, looks like both players are ready, Ozzy. Jumping right into it now. Game number 5, Bonyth versus Hawk on Sylphid.
Okay, spawning here on the left spawn, we have our red Zerg from the greatest country on Earth, America. We have Hawk.
I don't know about that. And down here in the bottom right, from the Korea of Europe, Poland, currently tying up this series 2-2. It's Bonyth.
Yeah, I always say that there's a movie that I liked called The Other Guys. You ever seen it?
The Other Guys, I'm not so sure. I'm really bad with names of things. Maybe describe the movie to me.
It's a Will Ferrell, Mark Wahlberg movie. It's a comedy.
Okay. I'm
Okay,
not so sure.
There's one, like the opening scene. I'm just gonna go on a tangent here while we're in the early game. There's one of the early scenes where the opening scene is like it's The Rock and Samuel L. Jackson. They're doing like a car chase, and it was over like a misdemeanor like theft or something, and they're just like blowing up everything on the way and like causing like millions of dollars of destruction. And someone like calls them out for it. They're like, you know, what about like all the damage you did trying to catch this misdemeanor? And he said something like, I don't remember exactly what he said, but he said something about America, and then he just goes, "The greatest country on earth," and everybody starts cheering. Like, this is what I think of whenever it's like completely avoided the question, but then said that because for whatever reason, Americans just go wild every time you say that. Like, context doesn't matter.
Tribalism at its finest, Ozzy. I don't think you guys even breached the top 10 on education, but let's not get into that.
Yeah, well, I'm from Alabama, so I know.
Yeah, I actually don't think I've seen that movie, by the way.
Yeah, it's a goofy movie. I mean, it's a Will Ferrell movie. That's what you would expect.
Right. Okay, Gateway expand here from Bonyth. Overpull from Hawk. Let's see if Bonyth can get a bit of a delay on this hatchery or not.
Yeah, always annoying when you go overpull and get scouted early. It's actually one of the most annoying things. Like, I've started my Zerg ladder journey, and every time I go overpull and get scouted, I want to tilt. I know it's like expected. It happens quite often, but a good Protoss, and Bonyth is a good Protoss, and with my drone control, it's a nightmare. You see a lot of Zergs. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, it's so funny, but like sometimes they'll deny the hatchery like 3 or 4 times, then when you finally are about to get it, they just drop a pylon as well.
It's so like... irritating, man. Yeah, that's the worst. And because of that, you see a lot of Zergs, they'll just preemptively send a drone out. Like, especially on 2-player maps, they'll just go ahead and go take the other bases they're natural and not even try to take their normal natural.
There's one other technique you can do. You hide the second overlord from the overpull, so they have to check the main for a 9 pull, and you hide the drone like behind the minerals in the natural. But even good Prowesses will sometimes like check behind the minerals with the probes before they go in the main.
Yeah, part of the problem is that I'm like 1750 with Zerg right now, and Protosses don't think that far. So when I try to hide it, they just don't ever check. They're just like, I don't know, I guess I'll just go Nexus before cannon. Like,
easy wins.
Yeah. False positives. That's what I call it for Protoss players.
I reckon you can get a pretty high rank with Zerg. You're a pretty smart guy.
Yeah, I'm learning a lot still. I'm gonna do some coaching with some live coaching. I'm gonna stream it actually with Kava next week, so that should be a lot of fun.
Nice.
I think
Kavapu like got his S rank like doing a lot of like 7 pull though, so maybe take a little bit of pinch of salt with some of his advice.
Yeah, I've been learning 5 hatch from him a lot. It's the build.
He's a pretty good player. He's pretty solid. Definitely better than us.
Definitely better than us. I agree with that. He's a good coach too. Very mild mannered.
Nice. He seemed like a chill guy from what I've seen of him.
Yeah. Alright, we get confirmation on the 3rd here. Lair going to be on the way here from Hawk. Like I said, Hawk did make a lot of lings overall. Like a lot of lings again.
Right.
Which is interesting.
Yeah. I think he's playing a little bit timid because it's Bonyth. You know what I mean? Like you just don't want to take pressure early and be behind.
Yeah, I just found it interesting because he's got the Lings out front, so he could do it on reaction just fine. And it does matter. I mean, you know, this is one of those little things that we kind of talked about where if you make the Lings later and you make the drones earlier, that does make a big difference.
Yep. It shows a slight lack of confidence when you play like that, right? Where you're like just biting the bullet on making the Lings preemptively so you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, I do that. And I acknowledge this because I'm not confident. Like, I'll drop a sunken in ZVT sometimes when there's nothing to indicate that I need a sunken just because I'm like, I don't know, maybe I missed something.
Oh, yeah, man. Like, theoretically, though, in ZVT, you could just go, like, speed early and defend with just speedlings if you're pretty good with your Link surrounds and checking for the Marine move outs. You can avoid making sunkens.
Yeah.
Depends on your style.
Agree. But pretty normal game developing here between these two players. Nothing weird or fancy that I've noticed anyway. I've been paying the most attention. But just at a glance here, everything looks pretty normal. Tucking all of our overlords here in the top left is kind of an interesting play. I kind of like it.
It's the furthest spot away from the Protoss, so yeah, I think it's not a bad choice.
Yeah, it probably yells at me when I forget to bring my overlords, like hide my overlords somewhere.
When you're learning a race, though, it's like you're so focused on everything else that like icing the cake is kind of the last thing on your mind, right? You're just trying to not burn the thing.
I'm trying to learn the most like basic things right now. This fire placement's pretty cool too because Bonyth doesn't know the exact timing, and if these are Scourge making at this third, I guess they're not quite gonna finish in time, but it's a cool idea if that's what it was. You could have potentially caught this Corsair, and okay, it's drones anyway.
He sees the third gas, so I mean this could be an Ogre Zerg style here from Bonyth. That might force a reaction of more cannons in the mineral line, but it also could be a fake out from Hawk. Like sometimes you can like mine the gas at your third and show him that, but you've stopped mining gas in your natural and things like that. You know, like there's ways of mind gaming the Protoss.
Yeah, well, I think he took the nat gas after the Corsair left, so he doesn't know for sure that it's 3 gas right now.
Right. Yeah. He could assume that, but you know.
Yeah.
What's that KGB saying? Like trust but verify or something like
that. I haven't heard that, but I like it.
Like the KGB trust you, but they're gonna follow you everywhere, right? Just to make sure.
Well, yeah, and that is what you need to do, right? Especially in a game that's such a... Is that more Sunkens? We're making a lot of Sunkens here as Hawk. We're kind of going for like a turtle style, almost.
Well, it seems more like a Muta style to me. Like if you're going heavy into Muta and you know you've got a strong Zealot style coming your way, like double Sunken is pretty common. I think he's even making a third Sunken here. He's gonna have to drone drill, but look at the hole in the SimCity wall. Gonna get good purchase on at least one of those Sunken colonies, and also doing some good target firing on these drones as well. He might not fully like kill this entire expansion. Maybe Hawk can stabilize, but I'm really confused why I'm seeing 12 Scourge, no Mutas at the moment from Hawk. This seems like a mistake. Like you should have Mutas at this point. He has nothing to defend it.
I'm very confused. I'm literally looking at 14 Scourge on the screen. We had more Scourge pop. We got 2 more here. What happened? Why do we have so many Scourge?
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe Hawk has fallen apart a little bit mentally. Maybe he made a mistake on his hotkeys and he made the Mutas too late. I just don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there. I was expecting like Lings or Mutas to be popping to help with the defense, and then we saw more Scourge coming out of the eggs while Zealots are killing us. I genuinely, it might have been a hockey error, like you're saying.
Well, by default, Scourge is on S, right? Like, but every good Zerg will change that to like C or something, because you don't want to accidentally go SS and make Scourge when you're selecting Lava. But who knows? Maybe Hawk's one of these players that still has it on S, and he just accidentally made a bunch of Scourge. It's possible.
It's possible, yeah. I changed mine to X because I learned that pretty quickly the hard way.
Yeah, there's some
But
overlord hatchery upgrades from the overlords and stuff you might want to change as well.
yeah, I changed a few things because of
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Yeah. Another one was Hydra and Hive, actually, because sometimes I think multiple layers for BGH, and then I kept making multiple hives after, which was a massive mineral sink.
Oof. Okay, he needs to manually target down this Archon with the
Alright,
sunken colonies. I don't think he's got at least one of the sunkens on the Archon, so he does take that out, but there's enough Corsairs to overwhelm the Mutalisk still. Uh-oh, looks like Bonyth is going to do so much damage to Hawk. Even if he doesn't kill him outright here, this is almost game-ending damage.
yeah, this is pretty brutal. He's going to be able to clean up the last of the Corsair at least. But Hawk right-clicked his drones, I think. His mutas weren't firing for, like, more than half of that fight. They were just sitting there because they were on move command. So
Yeah.
a ton of DPS got lost out on. He ended up losing the air battle, kind of just barely, and GG going to be called. And that was the most shaky game I feel like we've seen from Hawk. I hate to criticize him because he's been playing so well, but
Right.
that looked a little bit off, that game.
Yeah, it's not like we're talking shit about him, but we're just calling it how we see it. That was definitely some major mistakes that game. I don't think he meant to make that many Scourge. The mutas were late. He was trying to rely on a third Sunken to kind of save the day, but it was way too slow to deal with that Zealot timing.
Yeah, hopefully that doesn't get in his head too much. I mean, he's been playing fantastic this whole time so far, so sometimes you got to be able to kind of brush that game off and be like, all right, we screwed that up. We made some mistakes. It is what it is. Let's kind of regroup and go on to the next.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Looks like we'll be taking one more commercial break for the evening. So run to the bathroom, grab some water, grab some fruit, stick your head in the freezer if it's really hot over there, and come and join us for the conclusion of Hawk versus Bonyth. Don't go anywhere. Hey guys, welcome back to the IPSL. Seems like the pain train from Bonyth on his reverse sweep is not going to end at this rate. We're just going to call it how we see it. Does look a little bit like Hawk crumbling mentally after that initial 2-game lead in this series. I don't know if this is just a Bonyth factor where it's like Artie was saying earlier, like there's just so much aura that you eventually just don't feel like you can win anymore. But it did seem like just major blunders of like not making the right units and what have you in that last game on Silphid. Really unfortunate, man, for Hawk, because very easily could have won this series after that early lead.
Yeah, yeah, a bit of an yeah, I'm not sure exactly what went wrong with Hawk in that last game, but I mean, yeah, with that 2-0 start, you start to believe, and then here we are with Bonyth taking the lead, and yeah, it's not looking great for Hawk anymore. It's tough, especially against someone like Bonyth too. Like, there's something about Bonyth, and this is a really important skill to have, and Bonyth has it, which is that he doesn't get weaker as the series goes on. He always stays steady and strong.
Yeah. Well, we're going to jump into it, RZ. Bonyth versus Hawk. Game number 6, Attitude.
All right, spawning here in the bottom right corner, taking the lead for the first time in this series, up 3-2. We have our yellow Protoss player from Poland, Bonyth.
Down here in the bottom left, he needs to keep it together and not let this crumbling continue. The red Zerg representing America, it's Hawk.
Yeah, even if Hawk doesn't win the series from here, I'd like to see him just kind of get it together, because I'd hate it for him to perform so well to start, to then walk away from the series and feel like, he didn't do that great, right? Because as it stands right now, like with his results at this point, you can walk away from the series kind of proud of your gameplay. You just, no more losses like we had last game. Even if you lose the game, like even that game on Andromeda, or sorry, not Andromeda, but what's it called? The other weird one.
Generator.
Generator, yeah. Even this loss on Generator was like a competitive game, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I want Hawk to at least be able to, put out a game like that where he's like fighting Bonyth and so he can walk away proud of his results, because again,
pulling out a 9 pool here, Ozzy.
All right. And it is close spawn. Oh my god.
No way. You got to be kidding me, right? There's no way. Like, how does Bonyth do it? Does he just see the Matrix?
Right
what is this? He even sees the Overlord at the 6. What? Like, I don't get it. I just don't get it. Like, how can a guy be this good and this lucky at the same time?
The game's over. How does this happen? That's so crazy. So we're gonna go
wild
10-12 against a 9 pull speed.
Like hard counter.
Oh my god.
First scout hard counter. First scout hard counter. Like, poor Hawk, man. I actually feel bad for the guy now. That's crazy. I'm speechless. I'm genuinely speechless.
Yeah, I don't even know what to say. That's so wild. I've never seen Bonyth do this, by the way. Like, I don't think I've ever watched a game where he went 10-12 high ground PvZ.
I mean, he'll sometimes do a 2-gate again PvP, but quite rarely, and not in a PvZ. What are we even watching?
And are we gonna even? We're not even gonna go the right direction. Okay, we saw it now. Okay. Yeah. I mean, that doesn't really help necessarily, but
nope.
There's gonna be 3 zealots when the
only, get in. The only thing you can do is do a drone pull and try and drill the ramp. That's like the only thing that maybe could potentially kill Bonyth, and that assumes he has no micro. Like, if the Protoss even micros remotely, it's still pretty much impossible to break. I don't think that's going to work either way. Like, Hawk's just going to try and expand and hope for the best, and it should not be enough to beat Bonyth, unfortunately.
Oh, man. Well, so here's the issue that we have as Hawk now, right? So we're on 1 hatch larva production, and there's going to be 5+ zealots coming out, and we're going to be stuck making lings with no economy. This is like the fear right now.
Well, there's one other thing Hawk could have tried, but this relies on not getting first scouted. This is the problem. If you don't get first scouted, you can actually deny scout, cancel speed, and go 2-hatch Hydra, and there's a teeny tiny chance you might be able to win. It's not likely, but it's a better win percentage than he's got right now.
Yeah. Bonyth being a little bit timid on his move out because he doesn't want to risk getting counterattacked. He does know that he's being spotted right now, so that is one of the things too that you have to worry about. And going to be a quick third hatch in base here from Hawk. Not super abnormal to play 2 base against 1 base Protoss, but it's tough. I mean, it's here we go. I think is it 6 zealots coming, I think, and then we left 1. Yeah, so 6 zealots out on the map and 1 with the probes on the ramp there. Nice catch here potentially. Doesn't quite get the surround actually on that zealot. Gets decent damage. Only cost him 2 lings. Gonna look for the counter potentially here, but that setup can't really be broke through even with that number of lings.
Yeah, unfortunately, Bonyth lubed up his zealots with some butter before sending them out, so the ling's not quite able to get the good surround on that, and this is looking pretty bleak, unfortunately. Theoretically,
cleanup.
Yeah, Hawk should be able to clean this up. Oh, actually kind of lets them get onto the ramp a little bit, but he should be able to clean this up. Maybe there's a glimmer of hope here for Hawk. Let's see. He could also try and do like with this 3 hatchery production, could be able to deny the expansion for quite some time from Bonyth after the fact.
Yeah, and Bond's going to go and move command. He's in here, sees no gasping mine, sees a 3 hatch. And he can actually just kind of play it slow here. Build up a few zealots and move out and take his natural. Is it going to be Stargate behind this as well? Because again, there's no gas mining, so the Hydra Den is going to have to be the answer for Corsair. And I don't know. You just don't have much economy as Hawk. But that cleanup went pretty well. I mean, he doesn't have to make any more lings for a very long time now because that went so well for him.
Yeah, maybe there's a hope here for Hawk that he can turn this all around. That would be a great story. Like, even if he ends up losing the series, like just coming back and redeeming yourself after falling apart a little bit. I feel like in a way that's better than winning 4-0. Like, not in terms of like it's bad that you lose the tournament, but in terms of your growth as a player, I think developing the skill of performing well under extreme pressure eventually will lead to better results.
Yeah. He's going to go straight into the main here to try and find an Overlord, I guess. Okay, he's coming back for this one. Okay. I was actually wondering if was he making a second Corsair? Probably not.
No. No, he's getting a Citadel and Tempo Archives instead.
Okay, so he's actually doing quite a bit of tech before moving up to this natural.
Yeah, there's just barely enough zealots that he can still try and expand as well. So it's a little bit unfortunate here for Hawk because he has to play defensively with his initial Hydra. So this Corsair can't have a field day. Is making some more lings, maybe thinking about getting into this natural expansion before cannons can be established. Let's see if that's achievable.
Yeah, that does kind of indicate that's what he wants to go for. And because he's making so many units, he's going to be pretty heavily reliant on it breaking through. It's pretty much just massing the Hydra's purely for the defense of the Overlords, and it's a fair amount of zealots. And if 2 more zealots get out here, I think he's going to be fine. Right now, he has a decent setup. Yeah, we're gonna get that zealot kind of line, try to set up here, but it is a fair amount of lings. He's going to have to back up and fight backwards a little bit. Not quite going to use the probe, but we see the cycling of the weakened zealots and going to take a pretty good fight. And legs are done now as well, so we're getting up the ramp. Not going to be an option. Going to get a few more freelings on the backside. Nice catch there from Bonyth. DT's even getting out just to make him feel extra safe. And I guess 2 freelings get inside, but with zealot legs, they're not going to be super threatening.
No, I mean, you kind of get a bit of a scout, but the scout doesn't really matter because you already know what the tech is once you see those DTs anyway. So yeah, this is not looking good at all for Hawk, unfortunately. Once Bonyth gets this natural expansion online, it's a massive advantage for the Protoss. Let's see if there's any magic that can happen. I didn't like how Hawk engaged those zealots either. He should have fake engaged the front and then slipped around the left-hand side to kind of set up a bigger concave of surface area so the lings could trade better against the zealots. He just couldn't find it.
Yeah, a lot of Hydra set up here defensively, and Bonyth going to jump on top of that, cancel the hatchery, kill the drone. Does cost him 1 DT, but I'd say that's a pretty positive trade for Bonyth, stopping that macro hatchery and killing that drone overall. And yeah, his Nexus is coming down behind this. Corsair does get miscontrolled, so that is his scouting potential out the window right now.
Has denied this additional hatchery being planted for quite some time, but is finally going to get that 4th hatchery underway. Ideally, you would obviously like to take a third expansion as Hawk right now. It's just so daunting to try and achieve that without Overlord speed and a whole bunch of units to cover multiple choke points. It doesn't feel like a wise decision, so I totally get why Hawk is staying 2 base for now.
Yeah. Yeah, this is almost like a... This is like a Nagnar build now. We're on the 2 base 4 hatch.
I don't know why that's so funny. Yeah, it's basically the build that Nagnar teaches the new guys, so they only have 1 choke point to worry about.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I've argued with him in the past that like giving people stabilizer wheels might like help them out, but it doesn't also help them grow much either.
Yeah, I mean, while we're on the subject, I am kind of with you on that one. I don't agree with teaching someone stuff that's not going to be viable later. I think you're like, I don't know. There's like a little bit of merit to it, but I think generally I'd agree with you that.
Yeah. Each to their own though. If you want to play like that, go ahead. Well, who am I to stop you?
All right, well, we're taking the Ford mineral only base here as Hawk. I mean, he does have a decent Hydra count. There are Templar building energy back at home for Bonyth. But I mean, when you're mining on your third or your natural for this long before your Zerg opponent gets his third non-gas expansion going, you're probably pretty happy with the game state.
Yeah, this is pretty brutal no matter which way you slice it, and you kind of have to take the mineral only as the Zerg as well, since it's closer and easier to defend, which makes this game even easier for Bonyth as the game progresses. He's just going to have a better scaling army relative to what Hawk can muster. Pure Hydra is not going to cut it eventually. Who knows? Maybe there's a mistake from Bonyth, as unlikely as it's going to be. Like, maybe there's a chance some Templars get picked off from a few flanking Hydras and suddenly the fights go a bit more Hawk's way. It's possible, right? You can't completely count him out just yet, but it is pretty bleak.
Yeah, it's possible, and it's one of those things where it's possible, but when you look at the opponent, it feels a lot less possible.
Yeah.
Nice catch, like, getting a couple of the Hydras.
It's like, is Flash gonna miss his macro cycles and help you win? It's possible, but it's probably not gonna happen.
Yeah, I mean, we got a pretty decent Hydra count. I like that Bonyth remade the Corsair. I was actually wondering if he was going to do that when it died. This is very important to kind of keep getting that information. I mean, he sees the second gas was never taken. He sees the layer timing now, so he knows there's no mutas or anything like that, so he can just kind of play accordingly.
Yeah, there's a decent amount of meat on the bone here for Hawk. Like, he's translated this game into something resembling playable. But the supplies don't always indicate the actual game state and the contextualization of what's actually happening. So this is still a massive advantage here for Bonyth, but I don't know. I don't want to count Hawk out just yet. I think his percentage chance is definitely in the single digits and on the lower side of it.
Okay, I mean, a couple missed storms to start, but there's a fair... I mean, there's a lot, not even a fair. There's a lot of storm left over still, and... Yeah, this choke point also going to be pretty hard. It's going to force the Hydras to clump pretty hard. That being said, he's got decent storm dodging. Except until that one. That's the most damage we got out of it for sure. And I mean, he's going to hold on. Just barely. He's going to hold on with the reinforcing Hydras. So, I mean...
2 more storms about to come online. Let's see. Yeah. Okay, there's 1. There's 2. Okay, not bad. Not bad from Hawk. That's that went about as good as it can go for him.
Yeah, it's very important that when you're dying that you die slowly instead.
Death by 1,000 cuts is always fun.
Yeah, but I mean, he holds on. He's still got a decent Hydra count. It does look like we're probably going to go, I'd imagine, pretty similar to the previous game where he wants to go. It's just going to be mass Hydra, essentially. He's not going to have the gas to even get into lurkers, really. So I feel like over time, Bonyth is going to value him down. We see now a 30 supply lead. He isn't looking, and actually... All 3 Templar go down. 1 Storm does get off and gets a decent bit of damage, but do we have enough Hydras? A bunch of the Hydras were at that 9 o'clock position dealing with the DT, which does expose this base here for Hawk. And it might even potentially get focused down. We saw a few units get clicked onto it there with the Zealots run kind of interference. We see him do this quite a bit. And unfortunately for Hawk, this hatchery is going to go down here on the backside. The Zealot's going to retreat out the bottom. And another big win there for Bonyth.
Yeah, this is the thing about being this far ahead is like even if Hawk is doing everything right, it's still not putting him ahead. Unfortunately, it's just clinging on. Like you're surviving, but you're not thriving. This base
Yeah.
of the 9 o'clock will eventually come online, so we can transfer all those surplus drones up here. But it doesn't feel good, man. Like, and that was a really good attack from Bonyth with the DT, kind of setting up a 1-2 punch as well.
Mhm.
Even though he kind of like fumbled the ball with the High Templars, giving them away for free, like the attack was still strong enough.
Yep, you see Hawk setting up for this kind of big concave fight again potentially, but there's still 3 more Templar here on the backside. Storm's gonna rain down here on the defensive, and there's not much Hydras on the left side either. Hawk doing what he can to try and stay alive, but unfortunately, Bonyth gonna clean this army up. GG gonna be called, and Bonyth gonna move on to the finals after a shaky start in this series.
Wow. I mean, Hawk did kind of break through the matrix in those first 2 games and surprise us with that 2-0 lead, but normality has been restored and karmic balance reset as Bonyth just gets a crazy 4-0 reverse sweep there. Unfortunately for our American Zerg, not able to go the distance against such a powerhouse of a Protoss gamer. But in a way, that's the best case scenario for the tournament. I think that means we're going to be seeing a PVZ finals between Bonyth and Rhett. That's going to be super exciting. And then obviously that third place match between Hawk and Dragon. I think that will be a great showdown as well.
Yeah, I think we have 2 very close matchups coming up. I mean, Red looking pretty much on fire against the series with Dragon, and Red, still disappointed with his performance even. So if Red can step it up from there, I like his chances more than Hawk. I'll say that. So I'm actually
Yeah.
super excited for these finals. Again, I know Bonneth hates it, even though I like Bonneth. And anybody that's met Bonneth or talked to Bonneth, you're gonna like Bonneth. He's like the nicest guy. He also pointed out before, he's like, it kind of sucks that everybody's always rooting for me to lose. And it's not because we don't like him, it's just that he wins so often.
Yeah.
uh yeah.
It
So
happens a lot though. You can kind of be like a victim of success. You see it in like every sport. Like take a player like Messi, for example. You've got diehard fans that love him and other people that despise him just because he gets too much of the limelight, right? And you get tired of seeing predictable results. And even
Hello.
with Flash, like hello. I'll stop talking now. Hey, what's up? How you doing, Bonnif? How you feeling after that win?
Okay, okay. Like I'm not completely satisfied with my games, but well, I won, so no complaints.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, that was kind of surprising that you went down 0-2 in the series right off the bat. But one thing I will say about you is that I've noticed, like I think Ozzy pointed out as well, like it doesn't matter how a series goes, you always kind of have a consistent rate of performance. You don't really tilt ever. You always put out good games no matter what's going on. I think we saw that reflected there. Whereas there seemed to be a bit of mental crumbling happening on Hawk's side of things. Like, did you feel that from your point of view? Like, did you feel like Hawk kind of just fell apart at some point? Like I think on Sylphid in particular, like he made a bunch of Scourge and didn't really even have like Mutalisks in production for a very long time, and you kind of got a clean sweep with that Zealot pressure. Did you feel like you were playing against a different player at that point in the series?
Well, as from my point of view, well, I don't care if I lost 3 games in a row. My job is to win 4 maps out of 7, so I don't really either care for the map order. It can be anything. I'm supposed to win 4 out of 7 maps. That's it.
Yeah.
And each map, each set has its own reasons for a potential loss, and
Mm.
that's it. You just need to take that into account and well, just play better from the next set, and
Yeah.
yeah, so adjust, basically just adjust to your opponent play style. Hawk was really I felt that Hawk was really all about kind of like stopping my 2 base push with a big surround. So basically, my mistake was that I was just a little bit too eager to attack. What was the first map? It
Right.
was Octagon. What
Yeah.
happened to Octagon? Let me. There was a surround, pretty good surround.
yeah.
And there I just couldn't, after losing the high temperatures, I couldn't keep up with his SH. So there was that. Well, he played well there, but I also lost DT pretty much that did nothing from the shuttle, and High Templar that never dropped from that shuttle. Well, he expected all that, so well, he much deserved win.
Yeah, he
Then
seemed.
we went.
No, go on, you go.
We went then on to the game on Andromeda. Well, to be honest, I saw this many scores, so I thought that would be a heavy mutat transition. So I responded with 2 Stargate. That was, well, pretty much a bad call.
Mm.
So yeah, I invested a lot of resources. So later on, I didn't have enough gas to either go for faster High Templars or for Dragoons. And then I attacked with Zealots and High Templars. Even though I killed all these mutas, well, these High Templars were crucial. And after
Right.
that, I lost Zealots unnecessarily. I should never trade. I know that, but I did that anyway. Never trade 6 Zealots for a hatchery. It's just not worth it. The map control that you give away. Even then, I had an opportunity to still be in the game, win the game if I just instead of trying to like go with my army in the in my part of the map, I should have split my High Templars to the new base that I tried to establish and towards the natural, and then I would be probably fine as well.
Mm.
Yeah, he was pretty much committed to basically lair Hydra tech. So if I just stabilize, I should be fine.
Yeah, I know. I noticed you fixed a lot of those mistakes on generator. Like you did such a good job of your army positioning, so you were a lot less careful with how you were moving out against Hawk, and you also, had cannons and High Templars at just about every other base to punish counterattacks. But I want to ask you about that final game. What was the decision making before, like, oh, I'm just going to make gateways in main? Oh, I'm going to go 12-12 in main. Like that was crazy that you like blind hard countered the 9 pool like that. What was going through your mind at the start of that game?
I hate the map, so I just went to gate on it.
Really? Is that it? Is that just that's crazy? Oh man, we were just speechless about how you were just blind counted and first scouted him against the 9 pool. That was insanity to us.
Yeah, I was worried because I scouted the Overlord, which is never a good thing for the Protoss that's to gating unless he goes only to the natural and then change its course, but that did not happen. So, and 9 pull with speed is not that terrible actually. What I like to face the most is 9 pull without speed or over pull.
Yeah.
Like 9
Yeah.
pull with speed has just so much map control, and then we go into that guess stage of the game. So, do you pull the trigger? Do you not pull the trigger? In this game, the answer was to not pull the trigger, as Hawk wasn't greedy and built a lot of links, and from that point, well, the game was well plus minus. Well, it's hard to really say if it was equal, but about equal, I think.
I love that mindset that you have. Like, even though you do have small advantages, you're still quite conservative in your estimations so that you don't overstep yourself and get too cocky and let the other guy run away with the game. So you'll be facing off against Rhett in the finals. I don't think you guys know much about each other. I think that's what he said. How do you feel about playing against Rhett? Like, how much are you aware of him and like his history in StarCraft? How does it feel like testing your mettle against a totally different player that you're maybe not quite as familiar with?
I know he was a top player in the past. I know he has a good macro, so pretty much kind of like Hawk displayed today. And he's pretty active nowadays.
Mhm.
At least a couple of weeks back. I'm not sure about like the last 1 or 2 weeks. Wasn't following him that closely. So yeah, I will probably have to play a little bit better than today to be able to match him.
Ozzy?
Yeah. Well, once again, I feel like you got everything covered. You're the interview guy, so yeah, I'm looking forward to the match tomorrow, or not tomorrow, but your next match against Rhett. I think Rhett is a super strong opponent for you, and I'm excited to see how you guys match up. But congratulations on your win today after a shaky start. I will always be impressed by your ability to not get tilted or bothered or anything by games. I love this approach of regardless of when I lose my games, I just have to win 4 out of 7. So yeah, pretty cool. Pretty cool to see. Good job, good games, and yeah, congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, my
Mass.
cats.
Massive congratulations. Why don't you hold the cat up a little bit? Let the guys see the little ginger kitty you've recently been
Yeah.
able to ascertain.
She's been-
Oh, so cute.
And she's been in my lap this entire cast, chewing on me. So
Yeah, massive congratulations, Bonyth. Any final words to the many fans that you've got out there that enjoy watching you play?
No, none. Like the same as the last week. Sorry for not playing the game. Uh, you just sometimes you just have to like, just be at these breaks. And it's like I don't know, Bisu also doesn't stream much. Like he comes for these ASLs. I don't know. So it's like maybe I would be repeating myself. Well, like it's hard to be a European with all these VPNs that work or not work, lags or no lags. Either you have to be a mental monster that just doesn't care how Koreans received you, or well, I don't know, or just you're gonna be unsatisfied with.
Yeah.
It's like I love the game, but the game, like maybe not the game, but the network, the how the game is played out, like Korea centered, and that hits me a punch. So sometimes I just get that these mixed feelings where uh, maybe I'm like, okay, maybe I'm gonna stream, and then I get this feeling inside of me like, no, I don't want to play this game.
Well, one final thing I would like to ask you. I know you're a bit like me in the sense that you're quite introverted and you don't travel a bunch, but is there any hope that we can eventually get you to one of these offline events?
Yeah, I was considering maybe like come with my family, but tickets are like cost a lot for an average Polish salary. So
yeah.
yeah.
Or what if
And
like someone like Arn was able to like, compensate you on a bit of those travel expenses and what have you?
it's like if he can cover for 2+1, then I suppose, but I wouldn't want to stretch his money that much so thin. So
What
and
if we
I'm
guarantee? What if we guarantee you first place prize pool?
uh, no, that I wouldn't
First
want
place
that.
is
That wouldn't be competitive.
$1,500, by the way, if you win CS Land. With a $5,000 prize pool, you get 1,500.
Yeah, that's the another thing. Like I'm not top of my shape, so I'm sure that will be players like I don't know, Striker, Hawk, Cross, maybe all these nasty Zergs. You know, it's
Rhett will be going as
hardly
well.
hardly a guaranteed win. It's like moreover, if I come, I would say like I don't know, 30% chance to take the top one place. So
What a modest man.
Very modest for your skill ability,
no,
I would
it's
say.
just the matchup. It's just the matchup. Sorry.
It's not
Okay.
modesty, it's balance wanting. Okay, that's better. I can appreciate that.
Yeah, that's more in line with the StarCraft community. I can get behind that. Well, thank you so much for the interview, Bonyth, and massive congratulations. I'm so looking forward to your showdown against Rhett in the grand finals. Could be one of the best PVZs we've seen in a long time.
Oh, thank you. And well, what can I say? See you in the next week.
Yeah, take care, man. Well, that was Bonyth, man of the hour. Never disappoints. Always a fun time to do a little post-game interview with him as well. Hope you guys have enjoyed the series today. Had a little bit of an unexpected occurrence with that early 2-0 lead from Hawk, but yeah, Bonyth is just Bonyth, so comes back strong with the clean sweep 4 games in a row. What can you say about that?
Yeah, there's not much to say about it, right? It's kind of within expectations of Bonyth. If anything, again, I think Hawk should be proud of those first 2 games. He was looking really on point, and Bonyth did make the adaptation. He doesn't get tilted. He stays cool the entire time, and his performance did not shake at all. If anything, it felt like he was getting stronger, whereas Hawk maybe run into some hiccups as the series went on. So yeah, unfortunately, against someone as good as Bonyth and a lot of these top foreigners, you have to stay on top of your game consistently through. And unfortunately for Hawk, he just wasn't able to get it done today.
Yeah, a lot of people talk about like how good Bonyth's micro is and stuff, but honestly, I think his strongest strength is the fact that he's able to just stay cool, calm, and collected no matter what. Like at the end of the day, he's a full fun gamer. Nothing really bothers him. Like unless he's having a really bad migraine that day or something, like he tends to be so consistent and bounce back from any weird position.
Yeah, I saw him last night. He was streaming Disciples 2 before his match today, and I was like, all right, now you know Bonyth is taking it serious. He's playing another video game right before his match, so
I don't know what it is with Polish guys. Like Wolfix is the same. Like he will
Mhm.
not do hardly any practice or preparation before a big game. It's just, I don't know what the mentality is there, but it works for some of them.
it irritates the heck out of me, especially with Wolfix, man. I hang out with him, hung out with him a lot, and we played each other a lot. And it was like, I feel like I'm always getting better and improving, and then we play each other, and I just get rolled every time. And it's like, man, I know by now I should be better than this guy. He's not practicing. Why is he still better than me?
I know exactly what you mean, man. I had to cheese to take games consistently off of that guy. So frustrating. Well, I hope you guys have enjoyed your stay with us. Next week, we'll be having the grand finals, Ret versus Bonyth. That's going to be super exciting. And then another banger of a PVZ with Dragon and Hawk. Both of those best of 7 series should be super cool and interesting to watch. So I hope you guys are able to tune in for that. I believe the third place match I'll be casting with my usual co-caster partner, SE, as well. So yeah, that's going to be fun times. You're doing the finals though with me, right?
I am, and I'm excited for it. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I'm super hyped for the finals now. Red and Bonyth is like that's such a win-win for me. Yeah, I'm stoked.
Yeah, I couldn't be happier, guys. But before we wrap things up here, just like to take a moment. If you guys are able to support us, please do here at the IPSL. If you give $10 a month, for example, on the Patreon, you get access to all of the replays from the tournament, so you guys can study up on exactly what these guys are doing, and you don't have to rely on Arn's camera ability at all, and get an insight into all the build orders and the timings they're executing. And also there's some great merch as well. It's none of that cheap print on stuff, hand embroidery, gonna be able to survive any of the gamer washes you put it through and stand the test of time. So yeah, if you can, guys, do consider supporting us to keep the lights on here in the foreigner StarCraft scene.
Yeah, absolutely. We mention it every time, and again, really appreciate the support that we get from you guys, keeping IPSL and even BSL and everything going. That you guys, we don't get to do this stuff without you. So, thanks to your support, we can keep it going. Try to give a little bit back to you guys as well, like John is pointing out with the replays and everything. So, yeah, your support is always greatly appreciated, guys.
Yeah, and one final mention, you can check out the last link that was put in the chat for potential CS LAN tickets if you're able to make it in the middle of August. If you want to go to an offline event and just hang out with the boys and focus on the social aspect of gaming more, you want to do that at least one time in your life. So if you haven't been to a LAN event before, highly recommend if you can make it to show up to CS LAN. Going to be a banger of a time for you guys as well. And a big shout out to Arn for putting on this great event and kind of giving something else besides Bombastic Star League to the foreigner scene. It's actually kind of incredible that there's still people out there that are dedicated to keeping the scene alive and thriving as much as we're able to here across the pond away from Korea. And thank you as well to Arzi Dahaki for being a fantastic co-caster as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Love doing these casts with you. And if you guys have a ton of money burning a hole in your pocket, you have no idea what to do with it, by all means, buy me a plane ticket. I'll go to the land for you, tell you all about it. No, I'm just messing with you guys. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the cast. Hope you enjoyed the stream. Thanks again, John, for having me on. Aaron as well. Love doing these casts. Super excited for next week. I'll be tuning in for the Say and John cast. And yeah, good stuff. Good stuff coming up.
Thanks so much, everybody. I've been John. With me, Arzi Dahaki. This has been the IPSL, and we'll see you next week for the grand final conclusion between Ret and Bonyth and that third place match between Hawk and Dragon. Gonna be epic. See you there.
Yeah, catch you guys next time. Peace.